Good morning, dear friend. The first light of dawn gently brushes the sky, and the earth still holds its breath in sacred stillness. I welcome you to this moment, this sliver of peace, before the noise of the world awakens. It is here, in the hush of early morning, that heaven feels closest. There is something deeply holy about this hour, when the world has not yet demanded anything from you, and your heart still has the space to feel, to hope, to believe again. Maybe you are listening to this because something inside you is searching, not for answers, necessarily, but for air. Perhaps you have been carrying a weight no one sees, wearing a brave face in front of others, while quietly falling apart when you are alone. Maybe you have been waking up with a knot in your stomach, afraid of what today might bring. The bills are piling up. The diagnosis is uncertain. The person you thought would stay has left. The plans you made have unraveled. And now here you are, wide awake, heart heavy, wondering if God still sees you, if He still hears you. I once knew someone who smiled at everyone she met, lighting up rooms with her presence, always offering to help, always saying, "I am fine." But behind that smile was a woman grieving the loss of her child. Every morning she got up, brewed her coffee, and stared out the window at a tree that had not bloomed since the spring her son died. She told me it felt like the whole world moved on with her while she was stuck in a moment she never asked for. She prayed, but the silence terrified her. She waited for a sign, but the only thing she saw was that tree, bare and unmoved. And yet, every morning, she kept talking to God, not with eloquent words, but with sighs, tears, and silence. Somehow, she knew the act of showing up, of simply whispering His name in the dark, was enough. Maybe you feel like her today. Maybe your heart is worn thin. Maybe it has been a while since you truly prayed, not because you do not believe, but because you are afraid your hope might break if nothing changes. I understand. You are not alone. But here's the truth I want you to carry into this moment. God meets us not in our perfection, but in our brokenness. He draws near to the honest, the wary, the ones who dare to whisper, even when their voice shakes. Prayer does not require a perfect life, just a willing heart. It is not a performance, it is a lifeline. It is a quiet, stubborn act of faith that says, "I am still here, Lord," even when you have no other words. This morning, we are not just saying words into the air. We are beginning a conversation with the one who holds galaxies in His hands and still knows your name. We are stepping into a sacred dialogue, not rushed, not rehearsed, but real, born from the trenches of life, the ache of waiting, the longing for healing, the hope for peace. You do not need to have it all figured out to pray. You do not need to feel strong to begin. You simply need to be here with your breath, your thoughts, your wounds, and your longing. You are enough for this moment. You are welcome here. Your tears are valid. Your fears are not foolish. Your need is not too great. And your silence is not empty, it is an invitation for God to draw near. Faith is not about never feeling afraid. It is about choosing to reach for light even when the night feels long. And today, together, we will reach. We will speak into the stillness. We will remind our souls of what is true, even if our emotions lag behind. We will return to the one who never left us. So take a breath. Let the morning light rest on your shoulders. Set down whatever you have been carrying just for a moment. There is no judgment here, only grace. Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning, as the first light breaks through my window and the world remains quiet, I come to you not with strength or boldness, but with heaviness I can no longer carry alone. I woke up feeling like the silence outside matched the silence inside of me. No clear answers, no clear direction, just the quiet H of another day beginning while my soul still feels too tired to stand. My body moves out of habit, but my heart drags behind. Reluctant, uncertain, and worn thin from days that felt more like battles than blessings. I do not come pretending. I do not come rehearsed. I come as I am, exhausted, hesitant, and fragile. I do not know how to start today. Lord, the weight of everything I do not understand sits on my chest. The things I lost, the prayers unanswered, the expectations I had for life that slowly unraveled when I was not looking. There is a stillness in me that is not peace, it is the stillness of something pause, something on hold, like I've been standing in one place for too long, waiting for something to move, waiting for something to wake up inside me. I want to trust you in this quiet place, but some days the quiet feels more like absence than presence, and I do not know how to tell the difference. I keep hearing people say you are near, that you are faithful, that you are working even when I can't see it. But right now, God, all I see is the distance between what I believe and what I feel, and I need you to close that distance, not with noise, not with grand gestures, but maybe with a whisper, maybe with something so small it would go unnoticed by the world. But I would know it came from you, because this morning, what I long for is not a miracle that shouts, but a grace that sits beside me in the quiet and says, I am here. I am not asking for all my problems to disappear. I am not even sure what the right solution would look like. I just want to feel like I am not forgotten. I want to believe that you still see me, that my quiet tears matter, that my small prayers prayed between sips of coffee and deep breaths still rise to you like incense. I want to believe that the way I feel this morning is not a sign that I have failed in faith, but a space where faith is still being born. Not loud, not perfect, just steady and honest. So I bring you what I have. I bring you the weight. I bring you the silence. I bring you the pieces I do not know how to fit together. I bring you the part of me that wonders if you are listening, and I trust maybe just a little, maybe just enough that you will meet me here, in this still moment before the world expects anything from me. I let go of trying to be strong and allow myself to just be present, to be a soul before you, unguarded, unsure, but willing. I remember the story of the woman who touched the hem of your robe. She did not cry out for attention. She did not wait for an invitation. She just reached. Silently. Desperately. Believing that just a touch could heal her. I want to reach like that today, even if my reach is quiet, even if it feels more like a hope than a certainty. Let me touch something of you in this moment, not for show, not for anyone else, just for me, just for this soul of mine that is longing to feel whole again. I do not have words eloquent enough to explain the H, but you know it. You see beyond the surface. You read the unspoken language of my heart, so I do not need to explain. I just need to sit here. I just need to lean into this moment and know that you are not offended by my silence or my sadness, that you are not waiting for me to perform joy before you come close. You come to the low places. You kneel beside the weary. You meet the ones who whisper instead of shout. If this is the only prayer I have today to show up, to breathe, to admit I need you, then let it be enough. I will not force emotion. I will not pretend assurance. I will simply bring my true self to you, knowing that you receive me as I am. The world may ask for strength and smiles and speed, but you ask for truth. And the truth is, I am struggling. Not every moment, not every hour, but enough that I need to say it out loud. Enough that I need you to know that I am not okay, and that I trust you enough to say so. So this is where I begin today, not with resolve, not with clarity, but with surrender. I surrender the need to feel fixed. I surrender the pressure to have it all together. I surrender the burden of pretending. And I ask, God, that you would just hold me here for a moment before anything else begins. Before the phone rings, before the schedule pulls me forward, let me find some small sanctuary in your presence that reminds me I am safe, I am seen, I am still yours. Even if the silence does not break, even if the fog does not lift, even if this day unfolds with its usual troubles, remind me that you are here in it, not just at the mountaintop, not just in the loud praise, but here, right here in the quiet corners of my doubt and fatigue. Let your nearness be the thing that carries me forward. Let your love wrap around the edges of my uncertainty. Let your voice, even if only a whisper, be enough to keep me breathing, hoping, moving. Because today, I do not need everything to be perfect. I just need to know that I am not alone. And if you are with me, then maybe that is enough. Maybe that is everything. You are still here, are not you. I feel it in ways I cannot name. Not loud. Not overwhelming. But something quiet still reaches for me in the background of this stillness. Something faint, like a whisper underwater, trying to surface. It is not joy. Not yet. It is not clarity or confidence, but it is something. And I am listening for it. Even if my heart is still unsure, I am here again, just as I was before, still tired, still fragile, still unsure of how to carry the weight of all that remains unresolved. But I came back. I showed up again. And maybe that counts for something in your eyes. Father, I do not want to pretend today. I do not want to brush past what hurts just because the world does not have time to hear it. I do not want to rush toward healing just to skip over the honesty that might bring me there. So I will stay here with you in this moment and let myself speak what I have been silencing for too long. I am afraid, God. Afraid of disappointment. Afraid of trying and failing again. Afraid of loving and losing. Afraid that nothing will change and I will still be standing in the same place tomorrow. I do not say this because I want to live in fear, but because hiding it has not helped. I need to be honest with you so that you can begin to carry what I no longer can. There are pieces of my story that still ache when I think about them. There are losses I have tried to ignore and fears I have buried beneath business. But they rise in quiet moments like this, reminding me that my soul needs more than distraction. It needs healing. Not surface comfort, not shallow optimism, but real, deep healing that reaches into the parts of me that I try to avoid. I want to offer those places to you now. Without shame, without covering them in pretty words. You already see them. So what good does hiding do? You are not afraid of my darkness. You are not offended by my weakness. You do not walk away when I am messy or unsure. So I let you into the parts of me that I keep guarded, the parts that still tremble, the ones that still feel fragile even when I smile in front of others. I let you see my doubts, not because I want to stay in them, because I believe you can meet me in them. I do not want to fake faith. I want to grow real faith, even if it starts here in a whisper beneath my despair. I do not need you to fix everything right now. What I need is to believe that you are not distant from my pain, that you are not waiting for me to get better before you draw near, that you do not require strength before you offer presence, that even when I am too tired to praise, too overwhelmed to understand, too broken to articulate what I need, you remain steady, unchanging, patient. Sometimes I wonder if you are listening when I speak like this, not with certainty, but with rawness, not as a conqueror, but as someone reaching for help. But then I remember the stories I have read, the moments in Scripture where you leaned in toward the desperate, the doubtful, the ones who whispered from prison cells, caves, and ash-covered streets. And I think maybe you are the God who does not wait on polished prayers. You come to the sound of the soul cracking open. You come to the whisper. So I whisper now. Not loud, not sure, but real. From the quiet center of my need, I whisper my fears. I whisper my regrets. I whisper the name of the person I miss. I whisper the hope I am almost too afraid to hold on to. I whisper for you to hear, for you to catch what no one else can, because I believe maybe faintly, but truly that you respond not just to faith that shouts, but to faith that barely breathes. I am not trying to impress you with my strength. I do not have much of it today. I am not trying to win you over with the right words. I only have true ones. What I want most is to feel safe enough with you to speak my heart as it is, not edited, not polished, but offered in full. If you are the refuge the Psalms say you are, then surely you can handle all that I carry. Surely you will not turn away from what I dare to speak. So I speak slowly, honestly, without performance. I admit that I have felt overlooked, that I have questioned if my prayers have made a difference, that I sometimes wonder if I matter in the grand story you are telling, that I fear I have missed something, some sign, some moment, some opportunity, and now I do not know how to find my way back. I do not want to stay stuck in that fear, but I want to pretend it is not there. And because you are a God of truth, I will not offer you anything less. I do not know what the next step is. I do not know how to lift my spirit completely out of this place. But I believe that even here, something holy can begin, that even now, in the middle of my unknowns, you are sowing something deep and good in me. Something that does not depend on circumstances, but on your faithfulness. Something that will grow quietly, like roots under the surface. I will not see it yet, but I will trust that it is real. So let this whisper be my offering today, not because it is loud, but because it is true. Not because it is powerful, but because it is mine. Let it rise to you not as a demand, but as a release. Let it carry my need, my ache, my hope. And if nothing else changes in this moment, let me change. Let my heart soften. Let my soul lean closer. Let me remember that even when I cannot speak loudly, you are near enough to hear the whisper beneath my despair. Father, you are still the one I come to, even when I do not have the strength to approach you with grace or dignity. Even when all I have left is the raw cry that rises from the place no one sees. I have whispered, I have waited, and still this ache continues to pulse quietly beneath my ribs. And maybe now, after sitting still with my silence and letting you in, I can finally speak what is deeper, not because it is neat or poetic, but because it is honest, because it is real, and because you are the only one who can hold it without flinching. There are cries inside me I have never dared to release, ones I pushed down, ones I feared might offend you or make me look ungrateful. But today, I realize that what offends you more is the mask I wear when I am with you. So here it is, God. Here is my unfiltered, unedited heart. I am tired of being okay when I am not. I am tired of saying the right things while something inside me feels like it is cracking under the weight of unanswered questions. I am tired of feeling like I need to protect you from the mess of my humanity. You are God. You do not need protection, but I do. And I am here asking for it with every cry I have held back until now. I do not want to be ashamed of my pain anymore. I do not want to apologize for the emotions I have buried beneath years of religious language and practiced strength. I do not want to silence the groan that rises from the core of me simply because it does not sound like praise. Because maybe, just maybe, this cry is its own kind of worship. Maybe the tears I shed in secret matter just as much to you as the words I speak in public. Maybe you are more moved by what breaks me than what I pretend to have conquered. I remember the stories in Scripture where people cried out loudly, desperately, shamelessly. They tore their garments. They fell on their faces. They screamed into the night. And you did not rebuke them. You met them. You moved. You responded. You drew near. So why have I convinced myself that I need to be calm and composed before I come to you? Who told me that reverence meant hiding emotion? Who taught me that devotion meant denial? I want to unlearn it now. I want to believe that you are not fragile, that you can handle the sound of my grief. Father, I need to cry and not apologize for it. I need to let my soul weep in your presence like Hannah did when her heart was breaking. I need to weep like David did when his child died. I need to cry like Jesus did when he stood at the tomb of his friend. Because the truth is, love hurts. Hope disappoints. Life wounds. And these tears I have been holding back, they are not weakness. They are the evidence that I have loved, that I have trusted, that I have longed for more than this world could give me. Let my cry rise to you today, not as a complaint, but as a surrender. Let it be the sound of a heart that refuses to go numb, even when it is easier. Let it be the voice of the part of me that still believes you care enough to listen, even if my words are soaked in sorrow. I am not trying to manipulate you with emotion. I just want to stop hiding it. I want to stop apologizing for feeling deeply. I want to bring you my full self, even if it is trembling and tear-stained. There are things I still do not understand, losses that feel too cruel, endings that came too soon, wounds that remain unhealed despite years of asking. I do not need you to explain everything right now. I just need you to be near while I speak them. I just need to know that my voice matters to you, even when it breaks. That my cry does not disappear into the void, but lands in your hands. And somehow, in ways I may never see, you shape it into something sacred. You are not a distant God. You are not a stone figure on a high throne. You are the God who bends low, who kneels beside broken people, who cups the face of the hurting and says, I see you, I hear you, I am with you, and maybe today. That is all I can hold on to, that image of you beside me, not fixing everything instantly, but refusing to leave, holding space for my cry without rushing me to feel better, not asking me to clean up, not demanding me to rise too soon. So I lift my voice not because it is confident, but because it is all I have. I cry out not to get attention, but because the H1T stays silent anymore. I do not have to perform for you. I do not have to hide behind polite words or acceptable emotion. You made me in the fullness of feeling. You crafted me with passion, with longing, with the ability to break. So I trust you can also carry the pieces when I do. And if all I have today is this moment of honest weeping, then let it be enough. Let it be a song in its own way. Let it be incense that rises, a sacred sound only you can interpret. Let this cry raw, imperfect, unapologetic be my offering, my prayer, my proof that I still believe you are the place I can bring all of me, even the parts that have no words left. You do not turn away from pain. You walked into it. You bore it. You still carry it with us. So I will not be ashamed of my sorrow. I will not hide my cry. If you are near to the brokenhearted, then I will not pretend I am whole when I am not. I will let the flood come, I will let the pain speak, and I will let you meet me here. Not because I have earned it, but because you are mercy in its purest form. Father, even after all the tears and all the ache I laid bare before you, something inside me still stirs, not with certainty, not with victory, with a soft pull, like a memory just beneath the surface of my pain. Maybe it is the faint trace of what once burned brighter in me, a flicker of joy, of purpose, of hope that felt real before the heaviness settled in. And maybe today is not about solving anything, but about tracing that flicker, about searching for the flame that once made me come alive. There was a time, God, when I believed so easily, when I prayed with expectation, not fear, when I worshiped without having to force my voice to rise, when your presence did not feel far, but familiar. I do not want to live in the past, but I miss that simplicity. I miss that warmth. And as I sit here, quiet and raw, I find myself trying to remember what that felt like, not to chase nostalgia, but to find a thread I can follow back to you. Because even though I am tired and bruised, I know that something real was there before, and I want to feel it again. I do not expect everything to return the way it was. I am not who I used to be. I have seen too much, lost too much, grown in ways that make me different from who I was when I first believed. But even still, I believe that something of that first love remains. Buried maybe, but not gone. Dim, but not dead. And I believe you can breathe on it again. You can stir what has gone quiet. You can awaken what has gone still. Not with thunder, not with force, but with the same gentleness that first called my name when I did not know how to listen. Father, I am asking you to help me remember, not just with my mind, but with my spirit. Help me recall the moments when I felt deeply connected to you, the time I sang and meant every word, the time I opened your word and it spoke directly into what I was facing, the time I forgave when I never thought I could, the time I sat in stillness and felt held. Without explanation, those were glimpses of something holy, and I need to remember them, not to grieve what I have lost, but to believe in what is still possible. Sometimes the flame does not come back in fire, it returns in warmth, in a quiet nudge, a peaceful breath, a small act of kindness that reminds me I am still human, still reachable, still yours. Let me feel that again, God. Let me feel that warmth, even if it is faint. Let me trace it through the fog of fatigue and fear until I find something steady enough to hold on to. Let your spirit remind my spirit of what it is like to believe without hesitation, to hope without armor, to worship without fear of being broken again. There have been days where I doubted if I had anything left to give you, days where faith felt like memory, not a living thing. But I refuse to let that be the end of the story. If you are the God who revives what is dry, who restores what is lost, then surely you can meet me here, now where all I can offer is a willing heart and a worn-out soul. You can kindle something new from what remains. You can make the faintest spark enough to light the way forward. I do not ask you to bring back what was. I ask you to awaken what can be. Something deeper, something tested, something built not only from joy but also from pain. Because now I know that real faith is not just found in the fire, it is forged in the ashes. And I want what is real. I want what lasts, even if it costs me comfort, even if it calls me to walk slowly, with reverence, through places I once tried to escape. Let this search become sacred. Let this reaching become worship. I am not demanding signs or wonders. I am simply opening the old places and letting you breathe, letting you touch the memories, the hopes, the pieces I buried when the world felt too sharp. Letting you lead me back, not to the same mountaintop, but to the same faithful God who was there when it all began, who is still here now. And if I find only a coal today instead of a flame, let me cherish it. Let me shield it from the wind. Let me feed it with trust, with stillness, with the fragile prayers that may not sound bold, but are rooted in longing. Let that coal remind me that fire begins small, that light does not need to blind to be real, that even a single spark is enough to mark the start of something sacred again. So I bring you this small longing, this imperfect memory, this almost forgotten warmth. I bring it not as proof of who I am, but as evidence that something still burns beneath the sorrow. Something that remembers you. Something that still believes you remember me. Let this be the beginning of awakening, not a dramatic moment, but a gentle unfolding. Let it be a slow return to the place where my heart finds rest in you again. And if my tears still fall as I search, let them fall freely. They are part of the journey. They water the ground. They soften the soul. They say, I am still alive. Still reaching. Still hoping that what once burned can burn again, brighter and deeper than before. Not because of anything I have done, because you are still the same faithful to finish what you began, even when the path grows dim. So here I am, still searching, not lost, but learning to listen again, learning to trust that the first flame was never truly gone, just waiting to be found again by the one who dared to whisper in the silence, cry without apology, and now reach back through the dark for the light that never left. Lord, if you are still with me in this searching, then I will keep going. Something within me refuses to give up, even when so much has gone quiet. The small coal of remembrance I held onto yesterday, it still glows today. And even though it has not yet become a flame, I feel a shift inside, not loud or certain, but a new kind of resolve, a choice to respond to that faint warmth with something more than just waiting. If there is a coal, then perhaps there should also be an altar, not the kind built on mountaintops of celebration, but the kind raised right here in the valley where my soul still walks slowly through shadows. Father, I do not have gold or perfect offerings to lay before you, but I have these pieces, my honesty, my longing, my quiet trust. And today, I choose to gather them, to begin building something sacred, even while I am still healing, even while I am still unsure, because maybe worship is not only what we do when we are strong. Maybe it matters most when we offer it from a place that is still trembling. Maybe altars are not always built with joy. Maybe they are formed with tears and questions and silent prayers breathed in the in-between. So I start here. I gather what I have, my memories of your kindness, my decision to return to you, my willingness to believe that what I build today matters, even if no one sees it but you. Let this act itself be worship, not because I feel whole, but because I still choose you. I choose to make space for you. Not because the pain is gone, but because you are worthy even while I wait for the healing. I choose to prepare a place in my heart where your presence is welcome, even when I do not fully understand how or when you will come. God, teach me to worship from here, not from the victory, not from the finish line, but from the middle of the valley. Teach me that I do not need to rise above my sorrow to give you glory, that I do not need to fake strength to make my praise matter, that what I offer from my weakness is not less valuable in your eyes. You are not impressed by polish. You are drawn to the authentic. And I want to give you something real. So here is my altar, built with the raw stones of today's reality. I do not dress them up. I do not smooth their edges. I stack them just as they are misshapen, heavy, unresolved. I build this altar not to prove anything, but to say, I am still here. I am still turning my face toward you. I am still believing, even if only in whispers. And I trust that you receive this not as a duty, but as devotion. Not as performance, but as presence. Not as perfection, but as love. Sometimes I wonder how many other people are building altars like this in quiet homes, on hospital beds, in empty churches, or in their cars with tears running down their cheeks. Maybe there are more of us than I thought, those who worship through the H, who lift their hands not in triumph, but in surrender. Those who sit in stillness and offer nothing but their honest need. I think you see us, Lord. I think you gather all these small offerings and call them beautiful. I think you look at these moments, the ones no one else notices, and you draw near. And if you are near, then this place is holy. Not because I made it holy, but because you entered into it. Because you meet your children in the wilderness. Because you never wait for us to climb out before you come close. So even now, in the valley, I dare to call this ground sacred. I dare to believe that what I build here will matter, not just for me, but for others too. That one day, someone else might walk this same path and find shelter in the space I carved with my prayers. Let this altar mark something new, not the end of my pain, but the beginning of a deeper communion. Let it be a declaration that says, I will not wait for joy to return before I worship. I will not wait for answers to rise before I build. I will not hold back my offering just because I do not yet feel the fire. I will bring what I have now. And if it is only trust in its smallest form, then I believe you will honor it. You always have. And if the flame does come, if your presence settles here, again I won't take it for granted. I will remember this moment. I will remember that before there was light, there was faith. Before there was clarity, there was surrender. Before there was celebration, there was sacrifice. I will remember that what is born in the valley often holds more power than what is shouted on the mountaintop, because this place, this humble, trembling place is where my faith becomes real. Lord, let me not despise this part of the journey. Let me not rush past the valley in search of brighter skies. Let me meet you here as you are, not as I imagined you should be. Let me discover a new kind of intimacy, not built on blessings, but forged in the fire of persistence. Let my altar become the meeting place between my longing and your love, between my questions and your presence, between my weakness and your strength. And as I remain here, building stone by stone, I ask that you bless each piece, not because they are beautiful, but because they are offered. I ask that you receive this not as a finished temple, but as a beginning, a sign that I will not stop seeking, that I will not turn away, even when the valley stretches long, that I believe you are worth this work, even when I feel nothing yet in return. This altar, God, it is yours. Every stone, every word, every breath that shaped it, let it stand not as a monument to pain, but as a testimony to faith that chose to rise even when nothing made sense. Let it remain as proof that you are not only the God of triumphs, but the God who draws near to those who build in the valley, believing the fire will fall not because of who we are, but because of who you have always been. God, as I stand beside this altar I have built in the quiet places, I sense it is time for something more, not more striving, not more effort, but more truth. I have laid down my pain, my memories, my tears. I have reached for the flame, and I have offered my worship even when the answers have not come. But now, Lord, I feel you gently calling me to look around and face what still lingers in the shadows, those fears I have lived with, the lies I have accepted, the weights I have carried so long they feel like part of me. You are asking me to see them, to name them, to stop shrinking beneath them. Father, I am ready. I do not feel brave, but I am willing. And maybe that is all you need to begin. So I look now, honestly and carefully, at what has haunted my thoughts and hindered my steps. The doubts that whisper I am not enough. The shame that tells me I should have healed by now. The anxiety that paints worst-case scenarios in every silent moment. The voice of failure that echoes louder than encouragement. These giants have walked with me for years, towering over my hope, feeding on my silence. But today, I name them, not to honor them, but to expose them, not to surrender to them, but to surrender them to you. I name fear, the constant background noise that questions every decision, every risk, every open door. Fear that says, what if it all falls apart again? Fear that chokes joy before it has a chance to grow. I lay it down, God. I bring it to you, even if it trembles on the way. I name it, not to keep it, but to let it go. I name regret, this bitter companion that walks behind me, reminding me of what I should have done, what I could have saved, where I failed. Regret that replays the past like a loop I can't escape. I am tired of letting it write my story. I place it at your feet now. You hold time. You hold mercy. You hold me. I name comparison, the way I have measured myself against others and always come up lacking. The way I have let their paths diminish mine. The way I have doubted the goodness of my portion. because it did not look like theirs. God, break that voice in me. Remind me that you wrote my story on purpose, and nothing you create is second best. I name grief the H of what was lost, the dreams that died quietly, the people I can't reach anymore, the moments that slipped through my hands. I have wept and I will weep again, but I do not want my identity to be wrapped in sorrow. I want to carry grief with dignity, not as a burden that controls me, but as a truth you hold with me. I name unworthiness the belief that I must earn love, prove my value, perform for belonging, the fear that if I am too honest, too broken, too much or not enough, I will be left behind. You never asked for my perfection. You asked for my heart, and you still do. I give it to you again, messy and unfinished as it is. These giants, God, they are not just ideas. They are forces I have lived under. But you did not create me to live in their shadow. You created me to walk in your light. And I can walk in light if I keep pretending they are not there. So today I speak them out loud. Not to dwell on them, but to disarm them, not to bow to them, but to rise above them in your strength. You taught David how to run toward his giant, not with armor, but with faith. He did not speak from fear. He did not flinch. He named the enemy and declared where his trust truly lay. That story was not just for him. It is for me too. I do not have a sling or a stone, but I have your spirit. I do not have a crowd cheering me on, but I have your voice reminding me I am not alone. So I speak now with boldness, not because I feel strong, but because I believe you are with me. I say to every lie that has tried to bury me, you do not get the final word. I say to every fear, you no longer get to lead. I say to every shame, you are not my name. My name is beloved. My name is chosen. My name is held. And I say to you, Lord, take these giants and do what only you can. You know the root beneath each one. You know the memories that fed them, the wounds that allowed them to grow. You know the deeper healing I need. I will not pretend anymore. I will not fight alone. I invite you into the battleground of my thoughts, my patterns, my inner world. I want freedom that runs deep, not momentary relief, but lasting restoration. Even now, I feel the shift. Not all the giants fall at once, but something changes when I stop running from them. Something powerful happens when I name them and choose to stand anyway. There is peace in calling out what has stayed hidden. There is strength in saying, I see you, but I do not belong to you. There is healing in the honesty of surrender. I do not know how long this process will take, but I trust that what you begin, you finish. And today, you began something in me that matters. You gave me the courage to look my enemies in the face and not be undone. You reminded me that no matter how loud the voices, your truth is louder, your love is greater, your presence is stronger. So I leave this place of confession not empty, but lighter. Not discouraged, but more aware. And with awareness comes power, the power to choose different, to speak truth over lies, to remember what you say, not what fear says. I may still feel the echo of those voices, but I will no longer follow them. I will follow you. Let this be the beginning of new strength, the beginning of ground taken back, the beginning of a new story not shaped by giants, but shaped by grace. I know there will be more to face, more to name. But today, I have done the brave thing. I have told the truth, and in the telling, I have made room for freedom to come rushing in. Lord, I have named the giants. I have stood in the quiet and spoken the truths I once kept buried. And now, in this sacred aftermath, I feel something different, like the air has shifted, like something invisible has broken loose, not around me necessarily, but within me. There is an opening I did not feel before, a sense that maybe, just maybe, you have been waiting for this moment, not for me to be fixed, but for me to be honest. And now, with the silence still lingering and the sky still gray, I dare to ask what my heart has long feared. Will you speak? Father, I have walked through many mornings where the heavens felt sealed shut. I have whispered prayers into the stillness and heard nothing in return. I have lifted my eyes, hoping for a word, a sign, a shift, and instead been met with silence. Not cruel, just empty. And I have wondered, do you hear me when I speak from this place? Do you still lean in when my voice is weary? When my heart does not know what to say beyond help? I am not looking for dramatic answers, just evidence that you are still near, still involved, still listening. I believe you are, even when I do not feel it. But today, I bring you that longing, the deep cry of my soul, not just to speak, but to be answered, not with immediate solutions, but with presence, with nearness, with a whisper that lets me know I have not been forgotten. Because even though I have said the right things and pressed forward, there is still a question beneath it all that only you can reach. Are you still with me, God? I do not ask out of rebellion. I ask out of relationship, out of the ache that comes when someone I love feels far away. And I know you have not moved. I know it is my heart that grows weary, my mind that wanders, my faith that falters in the face of silence. But I also know that you are not offended by my questions, that you welcome the ones who knock more than once, who cry out more than once, who return day after day with empty hands and hopeful hearts. So I knock again, not loudly, but persistently. I knock with my prayers. I knock with my waiting. I knock with my tears that still fall even after all these days. And I ask you, Lord, to break the silence, not because I demand it, but because I need it. Because something inside me longs to hear you again, to be reminded that I am not wandering alone in this wilderness, that there is a voice greater than my fear, a love stronger than my doubt. Even now, as I say these words, I realize you have spoken, just not in the way I always expect. You speak through the sunrise that returns without fail, through the breath in my lungs that I did not create, through the way peace settles over me after I cry, through the unexpected kindness of someone who had no idea I needed it, through the scripture that comes to mind when I least expect it. through the stillness that does not answer, but somehow heals. Maybe I have been waiting for something louder, but you have been whispering all along. Maybe you have never stopped speaking, and I have just been too surrounded by noise to notice. I do not want to miss you anymore, God. I do not want to assume you are silent just because you are not speaking on my timeline or in my preferred tone. I want to be the kind of person who leans in closer when the room grows quiet, who listens with more than ears, who waits without resentment, who trusts without demanding. So if you are speaking in whispers, help me to hear. If you are answering with presence instead of words, help me to feel. If you are moving in ways that are deeper than language, help me to recognize it. I do not need thunder. I need truth. I do not need spectacle. I need substance. And I believe you are the kind of God who speaks into the marrow of my soul, not just the surface of my circumstances. Lord, help me to stay in this posture, not rushing ahead, not trying to manufacture clarity, but remaining open, attentive, soft-hearted. Let me carry this quiet not as a burden, but as an invitation, a sacred space where my heart becomes still enough to notice you again, where I no longer measure your faithfulness by how loud you speak, but by how near you remain. Teach me the courage of those who pray through silence, like the woman who knocked on the judge's door until he answered, like the man who wrestled through the night until blessing came, like the prophets who stood in long seasons of waiting without turning away. I want to be found among those who stay, not because staying is easy, but because love compels them not to leave. This season has taught me to listen differently, to stop filling the space with noise, with forced declarations, with rehearsed answers. And in that listening, I have begun to hear the subtleties of your voice, the way you nudge instead of push, the way you lead instead of drive, the way you reveal yourself not in the wind or the fire, but in the still small voice that comes when I least expect it. So I remain here, heart open, hands ready, not waiting with impatience, but with quiet hope, because even if the heavens do not split open today, I trust that they are not closed. Even if the sky remains gray, I trust that light is still moving through it. Even if all I hear is the sound of my own breath, I trust that you are in it, that you are as present in the silence as you are in the song. And that is enough for now, to know that the silence does not mean absence, that my waiting is not in vain, that you are still God, still speaking, still here. Even when heaven is quiet, my heart will keep listening. Even when answers delay, I will stay near, not because I always understand, but because I have chosen to believe. And belief, even in the silence, is a prayer all its own. Father, as I continue waiting in this stillness, something inside me begins to shift, not a loud turning, not a sudden revelation, but a slow, almost imperceptible softening. The longer I sit in the quiet, the more I begin to notice the small movements, the ones that would be invisible if I rushed past them. And I wonder if this is how you always move, not in chaos, not in spectacle, but like a whisper in the middle of a storm, not to compete with the noise, but to call me above it. The world around me often demands volume. It rewards urgency, pressure, performance. But you, Lord, seem to move differently. You are not shaken by storms. You do not need to shout to be heard. You are steady, unmoved, always present. And if you are speaking, it is not to stir panic, but to draw me closer. So I quiet myself even more now. I lean in again, and I ask you, let me hear the still voice that calms the waves inside me. Sometimes I have expected your voice to come with force, like thunder shaking the heavens, like lightning flashing with clarity. But lately, I have realized that power does not always roar. Sometimes it rests. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it arrives like the hush before dawn, like the steady rhythm of breath that says, "You are still here, and I am still with you." That is the voice I want to hear now, not just in my ears, but in the depths of who I am. God, I bring you the whirlwind of my thoughts, the fears that rise up when I try to sleep, the distractions that pull at my peace, the questions that loop without answers. I bring you the storm inside the pressure to make decisions, the heaviness of responsibilities, the weight of what I cannot fix. I offer it to you not with expectation of instant calm, but with a request. Speak into it, not around it, not after it, but right in the center of it. Let your voice become the anchor. I remember the story of Elijah, how he stood on the mountain and waited. The wind came, but you were not in it. The earthquake came, but you were not in that either. Then the fire passed, and still, you remained silent. But after all of it, there was a gentle whisper, and that whisper held more weight than all the noise before it. That whisper carried your presence. I think about that often, how you revealed yourself not through power that shakes the earth, but through a sound so quiet would be missed by anyone not listening. Help me listen like Elijah did. Help me wait, not in frustration, but in anticipation. Help me tune my heart to recognize your whisper, even in the places that feel desolate. Let me become familiar with the sound of your peace, your prompting, your comfort, even if the storm does not pass right away. Even if the winds keep howling around me, let your voice be louder within me than the storm is outside me. Lord, sometimes the storms do not rage on the outside, they roar in the soul. The anxiety that quickens my breath, the grief that sits like a stone in my chest, the uncertainty that pulls at every thought. These are the waves that rise against me, again and again. And I have tried to silence them on my own. I have tried to speak over them with my logic, with my plans, with my own fragile declarations, but none of it quiets like you do. None of it reaches that place in me that only you can touch. So I turn to you now, not to perform a prayer, not to demand relief, but to invite you to speak, however you want, however you choose. I open my heart like an empty field, ready for the wind to pass through, ready for even a trace of your voice to change everything. I do not need volume, only presence. I do not need clarity all at once, only a word that says you see me, that you are near, that I am not forgotten in this storm. And if your voice comes not in sound, but in stillness, Then let me embrace the two. Let me stop resisting the quiet as if it were punishment, and instead receive it as a gift, a space where you draw near, a sacred pause where the noise fades and your spirit has room to breathe inside my soul. Let me find rest in knowing that you are not far. Even when I hear nothing, let me trust that stillness is not silence, but sanctuary. Teach me to live like this, God, to carry peace within even when everything outside is uncertain. Let your voice become the rhythm that steadies me. Let your words shape my thoughts, slow my racing heart, calm my anxious spirit. Let me live tuned to your frequency, so that even in the chaos, I recognize when you are near. Even in the tension, I remember you are present. I will not demand the storm to end if it means missing the sound of your whisper. I will not run ahead if it means losing the intimacy that comes with leaning in. I will not despise the quiet if it is the place you have chosen to meet me. And I will not underestimate the power of stillness, because I have seen what it does. I have felt it, how one word from you can dismantle fear, how one breath from you can rebuild courage, how one moment in your presence can restore what days of striving could not. So I stay here, not because I have nowhere else to go, but because I know nowhere else will satisfy like this. Nowhere else will calm me so deeply. Nowhere else will remind me of who I am like you do. I stay because you are not just a God of answers. You are a God of presence, a God who walks into the storm and stands with me, a God who does not shout from a distance, but who whispers from within. And that whisper, that still, steady voice, it is enough. It is everything. Father, as I rest in the quiet and listen for the whisper you placed within the storm, I feel something shifting deeper still. Not a change in my circumstances, not a sudden solution, but a release like a tension slowly leaving my chest. And I realize it is not because anything outside of me has transformed. It is because something inside of me has started to let go, not in defeat, but in trust, not as a giving up, but as a giving over. And in this sacred surrender, I begin to sense the anointing that flows only when hands are open, not clenched. Lord, I have spent so long holding on, tightening my grip on things I was never meant to control. I have clung to outcomes, to timing, to understanding, to people, to the illusion of safety. But none of it has brought me the peace I hoped for. The more I tried to manage everything on my own, the more burdened I became. And now, after the weeping, the silence, the storms, and the whispers, I see what you have been leading me to all along, a place where surrender is not weakness, but worship. A place where I stop striving and start trusting, where I stop demanding and begin depending. I open my hands now. Father, I offer you not just the pain or the confusion, but the control I have tried to keep. The need to know how things will end. The pressure to hold it all together. The belief that I have to figure it out or fix it. I release it. I lay it down before you, like precious oil poured at your feet. Costly, yes. Risky, yes. But holy, because you never asked me to carry it all. You asked me to come, to trust, to follow, to surrender. God, show me how to walk in this posture every day, not just once in a dramatic moment, but over and over in the small things, the daily choices, the quiet prayers, the constant returning. Help me to recognize when I begin to tighten my grip again. Help me to notice when fear creeps in disguised as control. Teach me the discipline of letting go before the weight becomes too much. Remind me that surrender is not the absence of strength, it is the right use of it. It is strength placed in your hands instead of mine. There are things I care about deeply, people I love, dreams I have carried, prayers I have repeated for years. And letting go does not mean I stop caring. It means I entrust those things to you. Knowing that you are better at being God than I am, it means I release the outcome, not the desire. I give you the process, not because it is easy, but because I know you are faithful. And if you ask me to lay something down, it is only so you can fill my hands with something better, something eternal. I think of the woman who broke her alabaster jar, pouring out the oil she had saved for years. It was all she had. It was valuable. But she did not hold it back. She did not measure or ration it. She did not question whether you were worth it. She just poured. Freely. Completely. And you called it beautiful. You called it worship. Let me be like her today, God. Let me pour what I have been storing. Let me break open the places I have kept sealed. Let me give without fear of loss. Let my surrender rise to you as fragrance. Even now, I feel the resistance inside me starting to loosen. The walls I built to protect myself slowly coming down. And in their place, there is room for peace, not the kind that depends on understanding, but the kind that flows from knowing you are good. Even when I can see where you are leading, I do not have to map out every step. I do not have to predict every turn. I just have to walk with you, to stay close, to let your voice be my compass and your spirit be my guide. There is something sacred in this letting go, something holy in this yielding. It makes space for you to move. It invites miracles I did not plan. It releases burdens I was not made to bear. It silences the noise of my own striving and tunes me into the melody of your grace. I want to live this way not just today, but always, with hands that pour, with faith that trusts, with a heart that says yes, even when the outcome is unknown. And in this surrender, I find rest, true rest, not just physical stillness, but soul-level peace. The kind that comes when I am no longer wrestling for control, but resting in your sovereignty. The kind that reminds me I am not holding the world, together you are. I am not the provider, the healer, the rescuer you are. I am simply yours. A vessel, a child, a worshiper who chooses, again and again, to let go and let you be enough. If this is what you were leading me to from the beginning, then I say yes, not with trembling this time, but with reverence, with trust, with the awareness that nothing I surrender to you is ever wasted. You take what I release and turn it into something more than I could imagine. You transform it, redeem it, multiply it, And all you ask in return is that I keep my hands open, my heart soft, my spirit yielded. So here I am, Lord, offering what I cannot control, trusting you with what I cannot see, giving you the space that I once filled with fear, letting your oil flow where my resistance once stood, letting your peace settle where my pride once clung, letting your love lead where I once insisted on my own way. This is the altar I bring today, not made of stone or fire, but of surrender, quiet, costly, beautiful. Let it be enough. Let it be worship. Let it be the beginning of something new, something lighter, freer, deeper, and let it keep flowing, drop by drop, as long as I have breath to trust and courage to let go. Lord, even now, with surrender still fresh on my lips, and the oil of letting go still settling into the soil of my soul, I feel the wind return, not as a threat, but as a reminder that storms still come even after worship, even after trust. And yet something is different this time, not because the skies are clearer, but because I am steadier, not because the wind has ceased, but because I am learning to stand in it, drenched but unmoved. This is the faith I have longed for, not one untouched by trouble, but one that remains upright through it. Father, I used to believe that peace would come when the storm passed, that I could breathe freely only when the fight was over. But I see now that peace is not found in the absence of struggle, is found in the presence of endurance. And endurance does not always look graceful. Sometimes it is messy. Sometimes it is wet with rain and shaking in the wind. But it is real. And today, I want to stand in that kind of faith, not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who chooses not to collapse under the weight of the unanswered. There is power in staying upright. Even when everything around me wants me to fall, there is worship in simply not retreating, in refusing to let fear push me back, in resisting the urge to sit down in despair. It may not look impressive to the world, but you see it, Lord. You see the decision to rise this morning, when yesterday as heaviness still lingers. You see the quiet resolve to keep believing when I could just as easily quit. You see the heart that whispers, I will not give up, even while drenched in doubt, fatigue, and questions. And you call it holy. You remind me that is not always about marching forward in strength. Sometimes it is about holding my ground in grace, about staying present, even when the storm howls louder than truth, about choosing not to run from the rain, but letting it wash over me while I remain rooted in what I know. You are here. You are faithful. You are worth standing for. God, give me feet that do not slip when the ground is soaked. Give me hands that do not loosen their grip when the wind pulls hard. Give me a heart that does not give way to fear, even when the sky grows dark again. Let me stand not in stubbornness, but in surrender, not in self-reliance, but in the strength you provide moment by moment. I do not have to prove anything. I do not have to pretend I am unaffected. The storm can drench me. The winds can rattle me. But I will remain, because I am not standing on my own foundation. I am standing on yours. And even when I feel soaked to the bone, I am still standing. You are not looking for polished perfection. You are looking for persistence. for the ones who choose to show up, for the ones who speak truth even when their voice cracks, for the ones who know their strength is not in how loud they shout, but in how deeply they stay anchored. Let me be among those, Lord. Let me be counted with the ones who remain standing, not because they never wavered, but because they never left. I think about the stories in your word, how often you moved not in the dryness, but in the downpour. How often the greatest breakthroughs were preceded by trembling, by waiting, by storms that seemed unbearable. But those who endured saw you in ways others never could. They saw you calm the seas, part the waters, speak into the wind. And I believe you still do that now, not always outside of me, but within me. So if the rain continues, let it fall. Let it soak the soil where faith is growing. Let it remind me that I am alive. Still here. Still moving through this story with you. I won't curse the rain anymore. I will let it do its work. I will let it cleanse what needs to be cleansed, soften what needs to break open, nourish what needs to grow. And all the while, I will stay, not because it is easy, but because it is sacred. This is not the kind of faith that gets applauded. It is quiet. It is unseen. It is holding on when there is nothing left to hold but you. But that is enough, Lord. You are enough. I may be drenched, I may be weary, but I am not abandoned. And in the standing itself, I find something holy, the resolve that says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him, not because I understand the storm, but because I trust the one who walks through it with me. Let every drop that falls remind me of your faithfulness. Let every gust of wind push me deeper into your presence. Let every challenge that rises become another layer of strength I did not know I had. I will not fear the rain. I will not flee from the flood, because you are not the absence of storms. You are the shelter within them. And sometimes the greatest miracle is not when the storm ends, but when I realize I am still standing in the middle of it. So I plant my feet today, in grace, in surrender, in quiet courage. I lift my eyes, not waiting for the skies to clear, but knowing that you are with me now. I raise my hands, not because I feel strong, but because I trust in a strength beyond mine. And I declare, even as the rain falls, this ground is holy. This storm will pass. But even if it does not today, I will remain drenched, but standing, soaked, but seen, worn, but still worshiping. And for now, that is enough. That is everything. Father, I am still standing, even with the rain still clinging to my skin. And in this quiet place where endurance has become worship, I sense a new invitation, gentle, patient, yet unmistakably yours. It is not just to remain standing, but to be refreshed, not just to survive the storm, but to begin receiving again. And I realize how long it has been since I let myself truly drink from you, not sip out of duty or ritual, but drink deeply because my soul is thirsty, and you are the well that never runs dry. Lord, the truth is, I have been running on empty in more ways than I wanted to admit. I have been pressing forward, showing up, holding on, but all the while, I have felt parched inside, not because I have turned from you, but because I forgot how to receive when all my energy has gone into enduring. It is easy to stay in battle mode, easy to live in the mindset of survival. But now, as the winds soften and the storm loses its grip, I find myself in need of more than shelter. I need nourishment. I need living water again. You said that those who are thirsty should come to you and drink, and out of their hearts would flow rivers of living water. I have quoted that before. I have sung it. I have written it in journals. But today, I do not want to recite it, I want to live it. I want to come, not with pretense, but with open hands and an honest H. I want to drink, not from fleeting comforts or empty wells, but from you, from the deep, unshakable source of your spirit that revives what is weary and satisfies what no other thing can touch. So I come to the well, not like someone rushing through their checklist, but like someone who knows they won't make it through another day without your water. I do not need words today as much as I need presence. I do not need clarity as much as I need connection. I do not need a flood, I need a cup filled with grace, poured slowly, received fully. Even one drop from you, Lord, can do more than all my striving. Even one moment in your presence can quench what years of running could not. Let me return to the simplicity of this truth. I was made for communion with you, not performance, not productivity, not spiritual perfection, just nearness, just drinking, just being with the one who formed me and knows what I need even before I speak it. Remind me that I do not have to prove my thirst for you to satisfy it. I only have to come. I only have to let go of everything else I have tried to fill myself with and receive what you so freely give. Sometimes I forget that you do not ration living water. You do not measure it out based on how strong I have been or how well I have prayed. You pour it without keeping count. You offer it to the ones who've fallen, the ones who've doubted, the ones who've simply grown too dry inside to pretend anymore. And I am one of them. I need your refreshment not as a reward, but as restoration. I need it to remind me that I am more than what I have endured. I am loved. I am sustained. I am welcome here, even in my emptiness. God, fill the places that have cracked from the weight of waiting. Fill the hollow corners where disappointment has settled. Fill the tired spaces where dreams have faded and energy has thinned. Let the water of your spirit move through every inch of me, not just the obvious wounds, but the hidden ones, the quiet bruises of the soul, the silent griefs I have learned to carry without naming. Wash over the fatigue that no one sees. Soak the fear that still lingers beneath the surface. Saturate the parts of me that I did not even know were thirsty. This is what I have missed, not the absence of problems, but the presence of renewal, not the end of battle, but the moment when breath returns to the lungs and hope begins to rise again like morning light. I do not need to be full to come to you. I come because I am empty, and you never turn away the empty vessels. You fill them. You always have. You always will. I remember the woman at the well that no one valued. the one who carried shame in the heat of the day. But when you met her, you did not shame her. You did not avoid her pain. You offered her living water, and she left change, not because her story was erased, but because she had encountered you in the midst of it. Let that be true for me. Let today mark the moment I drink not just enough to survive, but enough to start overflowing. Not all at once, not with fanfare, but slowly, steadily. Let the flow begin again. Let refreshment come, not in a way that overwhelms me, but in a way that restores me from within. Let it rise quietly, like a stream breaking through hard ground. Let it soften what has grown calloused. Let it awaken what has fallen asleep. Let it become the beginning of abundance where there once was only drought. I will return to this well as often as I need, not because you withhold, but because I forget how freely you give. I will return without shame, without explanation, just thirst, just need. Just trust that you are still the same God who met me in the storm, who stood beside me in surrender, who now offers me a drink when all I have known is dryness. And in drinking, I will remember that this is not a one-time filling. It is a rhythm, a way of living, a sacred exchange between my emptiness and your fullness, my weakness and your mercy, my small cup and your unending well. I will not rush it. I will not minimize it. I will drink slowly, deeply, gratefully, because I know what it means to be dry. And now, I am learning again what it means to be filled. Father, as I continue to drink from the well you placed before me, something gentle and unexpected begins to stir, like warmth rising quietly through my chest, like a soft glow where there used to be only heaviness. It is not loud or sudden, but I feel it unmistakably. Light, not the kind that floods everything instantly, but the kind that slips through slowly, carefully, like morning sunlight threading its way between thick branches overhead. It does not demand attention. It simply arrives. And when it does, everything starts to look a little different. God, I did not know how much I needed this light. I did not know how long I would been sitting under shadows that felt too tall to pass. I had grown used to dimness, to hoping without really expecting, to breathing without fully receiving. But now, as this light breaks through, I realize you were never absent. You were always near, quiet, patient, waiting for me to lift my eyes again. And now that I have, I see the brightness was never gone. I had only forgotten how to look up. There is a difference between darkness and dimness. I was never completely lost in the dark. I still had faith. I still believed. But somewhere along the way, the light became muted by grief, softened by waiting, covered by fear. The weight of unspoken burdens grew thick like the canopy of a forest, and I walked beneath it without realizing how much I longed for light again. But you, Lord, have a way of breaking through even the densest cover, not to blind me, but to remind me that clarity still exists, hope still glows, and it is here now, reaching through the leaves of doubt and discouragement. Let me welcome this light. Father, let me not question it just because it feels unfamiliar. Let me not push it away because I have grown used to gloom. Teach me to receive it with open eyes, with a soft heart, with gratitude that runs deeper than explanation. I do not need to understand why the light is breaking through now. I only need to trust that you are the one behind it, that your timing is perfect, even when it surprises me, that your goodness does not always shout, it often arrives like this, quiet, persistent, healing. Let this light reveal what I could not see before. Let it show me the things that your grace has been doing in hidden places, the growth that happened in the soil of struggle, the strength that formed while I was standing still, the joy that is ready to bloom again after a long season of waiting. I do not want to miss what has been quietly forming in me just because I was focused on was not happening. Let this light change the way I see not just my future, but my present. Not just my journey, but my heart. There is something holy about this moment, something sacred in the shift. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but undeniably divine. It is as if you are inviting me not only to see, but to remember how to hope again. Not vague hope, not hope diluted by doubt, but the kind of hope that steadies the breath and lifts the spirit, that makes room for laughter and dreams and lightness of heart. The kind that says, something good is coming, and means it even if I do not yet see how. I know the canopy may not fully clear today. I know shadows still exist, and I may walk through them again. But for now, this light is enough. It is more than enough. It is mercy rising through the branches, reaching places that have been longing for warmth. And it is you, Lord, always you breaking through in ways I did not know I still needed. I do not take this moment for granted. I do not minimize its meaning just because it does not come with fireworks. Sometimes light does not come to dazzle. It comes to restore. And I believe that is what you are doing now. Restoring the light within me, the vision I had set aside, the joy I had put on hold, restoring the parts of me that stopped believing light could ever break through again. And you are doing it gently, without force, without rush, just steady grace, one ray at a time. Let it continue, God. Let the light spread further. Let it touch the memories that hurt. Let it reach the corners I have closed off. Let it shine on the dreams I once buried and show me they are not gone. They were only waiting for this light, waiting for this breath of peace that says, begin again, not from the start, but from here, from the place where you have been walking with me all along. There is such beauty in this quiet awakening, no grand gesture, just light slowly returning, and with it, a part of me I thought had faded, the creative part, the trusting part, the childlike part that used to wake up with wonder. I do not need to rush to define it. I just want to sit in it for a while, to let it settle, to let it speak, to let it heal. And so I look up, I lift my face. I let the warmth find me. I let the brightness touch places I would forgotten how to offer. I let it wash over the weariness and begin to make something new. Not because I earned it, not because I figured everything out, but because you are kind, and kindness always finds a way through. Thank you for showing me that light does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it arrives in the aftermath. After surrender. After stillness. After standing in the storm. And it does not need to say much. It just needs to be present. And it is. You are. So I stay here, not to capture the moment, but to honor it, to remember what it feels like to receive instead of reach, to bask instead of brace, to breathe without fear. Because today, light has broken through, and in its gentle warmth, I remember who I am. I remember who you have always been. And I remember that even beneath the canopy, even after the rain, hope still rises, and light still finds its way home. Father, now that the light has found its way back to me, slipping gently through the canopy of all I have walked beneath, I feel something stirring in my spirit that I have not felt in a long time, a sense of strength, not loud or boastful, but real and steady. It is not the kind of strength that comes from conquering, but the kind that comes from surviving. From staying, from choosing once more to rise. And in this rising, I hear something from deep within, a voice that does not come from the world around me, but from the well you have been restoring in me. It is my own voice. Father, encouraged by your presence, beginning to speak life over my soul again. I did not know how much I had been waiting on someone else to speak hope into me. I thought maybe I needed a sign, a breakthrough, a rescue. But you have been showing me that sometimes the greatest turning point does not come from the outside. It begins from within. It begins when I stop waiting for someone else to remind me who I am and instead open my mouth and declare it myself. I will encourage myself in you, God, not because I have all the answers, not because everything feels easy, but because you live in me, and that changes everything. This is the place where the echo of truth begins to return, where I remember that I am not defeated. No matter how many days I have struggled, I am not forgotten. No matter how long it has felt quiet, I am not too far gone. No matter how deep the valley has been, I am still here. Still breathing, still loved, still yours, and I will speak that over myself again and again until my spirit believes it, until my bones feel it, until my heart learns to rise in rhythm with that truth. You never asked me to deny my pain. You never demanded that I pretend, but now you invite me to shift, to lift my eyes, to raise my voice, to speak life where silence once lived. And so I do. I speak not to impress, not to prove anything, but to remind my weary soul that it still has purpose, that there is still joy ahead, that there are still promises waiting to unfold. I say to myself, you are not alone. You are not finished. You are not powerless. I say to the places within me that still tremble, peace, be still. You have a future, and it is held in strong and steady hands. God, help me carry this voice with me throughout the day, not just in this quiet moment, but when I am faced with distractions, discouragement, and demands. Help me to be the one who speaks life into the middle of my own mess, who pauses to breathe when the noise grows too loud, who chooses compassion over criticism when I look in the mirror, who reminds myself that grace is still the atmosphere I live in, even when I forget. There is power and encouragement that comes from you. And now I know that you can speak it through me. I do not need to wait for a perfect situation or a dramatic change. I do not need the applause or affirmation of others to remember that you delight in me. I only need to remember what you have already said, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that I am chosen, that I am called, that I am forgiven, that I am not abandoned, not for a single moment. Let this truth rise like breath from within me. Let it become the new rhythm of my heart. Let it be the light I carry when the shadows return. Let it be the warmth that pushes back cold lies and lingering regrets. I will not wait for encouragement to find me. I will create it. I will speak it. I will become it, not from pride, but from holy conviction, from the confidence that comes when I have walked through fire and still believe in beauty, when I have tasted sorrow and still choose joy, when I have stood in silence and still hear the whisper of your love beneath it all. This is the shift I have longed for, the turning of my posture from survival to revival. I am not here just to endure. I am here to live, to worship, to speak hope, to shine light. And I will begin with myself, with my words, with my breath, with the still small faith that says, God is with me, and that is enough to rise again. I think of David, standing in the ashes of what once was, with no one left to comfort him. And it says he strengthened himself in the Lord. He did not wait. He did not crumble. He did not surrender to despair. He turned inward, where he knew your voice still echoed. And from that place, he rose. I want that kind of strength, that kind of courage, that kind of intimacy with you, where even when everything around me says it is over, I say to my soul, get up, there is more. Father, remind me often that I have access to this well within me, that I do not need a perfect atmosphere to speak truth, that even in the middle of chaos, I can return to the secret place, the inner space where you and I meet, and from there I can draw what I need, not shallow inspiration, but deep encouragement, the kind that rebuilds what has been broken, the kind that lasts longer than a fleeting feeling. Let it spill out of me into the lives of others too. Let the encouragement I speak to myself overflow onto those around me. Let my words be healing. Let my posture be hopeful. Let my life be a quiet declaration that you are enough. And because you are, I am enough too. I do not want to just lift my own heart. I want to lift the atmosphere wherever I go, not with noise, but with presence, with intention, with the authority of someone who knows who they belong to. I know I will still have hard days. I know I will forget sometimes. But today I have tasted something I let go of, this strength born not from perfection, but from process. This voice that rises not from confidence in self, but in you. And I choose to return to it again and again. When I wake up, when I feel the weight press in, when the doubts come, when the fog returns, I will speak, I will declare, I will encourage myself, because you have shown me I can, because you have taught me how, because you live in me, and your voice is the truest sound I will ever know. Father, now that I have found the voice to speak encouragement over myself, soft at first, but certain, I feel you urging me toward something more. Not just to stand, not just to breathe again, but to speak with authority, to begin prophesying over places I had long assumed were finished, to look at the ruins, at the graves of old dreams, and call them what they could be instead of what they seem. It is a holy boldness I did not think I had, but now I realize it was never about what I had. It is about what you are awakening within me. There are places in me, God, that have grown dry, places where hope once lived but has not stirred in a long time. They have become like bones, silent, brittle, forgotten, not because I wanted them to be, but because disappointment wore them down until I stopped visiting them altogether. I buried desires because they felt foolish. I buried prayers because they went unanswered too long. I buried versions of myself that once felt so alive. But here in the stillness, after standing in surrender and drinking from your presence, you are asking me something bold. You are asking me to speak life again. This feels different than encouragement. Encouragement. Whispered. You are not done. But this call to speak, this is a declaration. This is me stepping into the authority you have always given me, but I was too tired to carry. This is more than comfort. This is command. And I do not take it lightly, because I have seen what happens when you breathe on dry places. I have seen what happens when obedience meets divine timing. So I say yes, God, even if my voice shakes, even if I am unsure of what comes next. I say yes to speaking to the bones. Let me begin with what is inside me. The calling I thought I missed. The passion I thought I lost. The confidence that once roared like fire, but now flickers like a faint flame. I speak to it now, in your name, and I say rise. I say breathe. I say come alive again. Not because I deserve it, not because I understand it, but because you still have purpose for me here. Because you do not waste what you once lit ablaze. You revive. You rebuild. You restore. Then I speak to the places beyond me. The relationships I thought were too far gone. The burdens I assumed I would carry forever. The things I stopped even hoping for. I want to stay silent over them anymore. I speak life over what has been declared dead. I speak renewal over what has been rejected. I speak hope into what feels hollow. I say, you will live again. I say, you are not finished. I say, this valley is not your grave. God, I remember the vision you gave Ezekiel, how you led him into a valley of bones. Not to leave him there, but to teach him how to speak, how to partner with you in resurrection. You did not do it without his voice. You asked him to prophesy, to declare, and he did. And the bones began to rattle. The pieces came together. Flesh returned. Breath entered, and what was once lifeless stood up as a mighty army. You did it then, and I believe you do it still. Help me believe that you still use ordinary voices to speak extraordinary things, that you still use broken people to call forth beauty, that you still trust those who've suffered with the sacred task of resurrection. Let my words no longer be timid in the face of death. Let them carry weight because they are rooted in you, not empty affirmations, not wishful thinking, but spirit-breathed, heaven-anchored truth that does not return void. Let this be the season I stop waiting for someone else to speak what you have placed in my mouth. Let me rise not only to receive, but to declare, to create atmosphere, to shift direction, to remind the enemy that I still know who I am in you. A child, a warrior, a witness, a voice of restoration in the earth. I do not want to speak timidly over what you have called holy. I want to say what you say. I want to echo the language of life and possibility and freedom. Let my prayers grow bolder. Father, let them rise not just from my needs, but from your promises. Let them sound like wind in dry places. Let them move things in the unseen realm. Let them carry fire that reignites what has gone cold. Let them carry breath that awakens what has been still too long. I do not want to just feel change. I want to declare it. I want to become it. A living, walking reminder that you are not finished with any of us yet. And when doubt creeps in, when I hear the whisper that says, "Who are you to speak like this?" remind me again that it is not about my strength or status. It is about obedience. It is about being willing to open my mouth when you tell me to. It is about trusting that if you gave me the words, then you will also give them power. I am not here to impress. I am here to agree with you, and that agreement can shift everything. So I speak even now over this day, over this heart, over this life. I say it is not over. I say there is more. I say the best has not yet been written. I say the breath of God still moves. The power of God still flows. The voice of God still echoes through the earth. And I want to be part of that sound. Not waiting for someone else to speak it, willing to be the one who does. I will not let the silence of the past rob me of the sound of the future. I will not let discouragement keep me from declaration. I will not let what I see keep me from saying what you have promised. This is not the end. This is not the grave. This is the place where the bones begin to rattle again, where life begins to return, where courage begins to rise, where the impossible becomes possible. And I will speak until it happens. I will speak until I see breath return. I will speak until joy dances in the streets where mourning once dwelled. I will speak because you said to speak. And your word in my mouth is enough to wake the dead. It is enough to call forth destiny. It is enough to bring beauty from the bones. Father, after speaking life into the places I once called dead, after watching hope begin to stretch inside my chest like lungs expanding with breath again, I know what you are calling me into now. Not just to feel awakened, not just to declare truth, but to walk in it, to carry it with me into whatever this day may hold. There is a shift happening within me, quiet but determined. And it tells me that I can no longer walk through this life dressed in survival. It is time to be clothed in strength, in truth, in readiness, in you, Lord. I have walked through too many days clothed in heaviness. I have worn discouragement like armor, as if it protected me from further disappointment. I have wrapped myself in fear, thinking it would keep me from falling again. Those coverings were never from you. They only weighed me down, made the air harder to breathe, and the path harder to see. But now I sense you gently asking me to put them down, to take off what does not belong and put on what you have already laid aside for me. Garments not of weariness, but of purpose. So I come to you now, not only to be reminded of who I am, but to be dressed for who I am becoming. This day will bring what it brings, and I do not want to meet it unprepared, not in fear or anxiety, but in holy expectation. Let me put on the belt of truth, God, not just to hold things together, but to anchor me in what is unchanging. Let truth be the core of me today, the thread that holds me when everything else feels uncertain. Wrap me in the breastplate of righteousness, not a righteousness I have earned, but the one you have given. Let it guard my heart from the lies that come to accuse, from the shame that tries to creep in unnoticed. Let me walk confidently knowing that I am covered by grace, not exposed by guilt. Let my heart beat steady behind the assurance that I am made new, clothed in your mercy. Let my feet be fitted with readiness, not with rushing or pressure, but with peace. Make every step I take today purposeful, not reactive, but led. Let me walk in peace, speak in peace, respond in peace. Let me bring peace into every room I enter, not because I have all the answers, but because I carry the presence of the one who does. Place upon my arm the shield of faith, not just to defend, but to declare that I will not shrink back. I will not be taken out by flaming arrows of doubt or discouragement. I will stand firm. I will believe again. I will move forward, not because I see the whole road ahead, because I trust the one who guides my steps. Let faith rise in me today like a holy defiance, a refusal to bow to anything less than your promises. Cover my head with the helmet of salvation. Guard my mind, Lord. There is so much that tries to crowd my thoughts, so many voices that try to name me. Let yours be the voice that rings loudest, the voice that says, I am chosen, forgiven, redeemed. Let every thought that does not align with that truth be dismissed before it takes root. Let my mind be clear, uncluttered, focused on what is lovely, pure, and true. And in my hand, place the sword of the Spirit, your word, not just for reading, but for wielding, for declaring into dark places, for defending against despair, for speaking life into the quiet battles that no one else sees. Let it be sharp in me, not to wound, but to separate truth from lie, purpose from distraction. Let me carry your word not as a ritual, but as breath and weapon and compass. This is not armor for appearance, it is for action, for walking into the day with intention, for showing up with boldness even when I feel small, for moving through conversations, tasks, interruptions, and uncertainties with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are not alone, someone who knows they are covered, called, sent. God, help me to remember that dressing myself in your armor is not about preparing for war with others. It is about being ready to face whatever seeks to pull me from your voice. It is about staying grounded when emotions try to sway me, about keeping vision when the fog sets in, about holding my posture when life pushes back. This is not about aggression. It is about alignment. It is about wrapping myself in what you have already prepared, so I do not default back into old patterns. Let me move today not in reaction, but in rhythm with you, fully clothed, fully aware, fully surrendered. Let the way I speak, serve, and show up be evidence that I have been with you this morning. Let the armor not just protect me, but mark me, set me apart as someone who walks differently, not because of perfection, but because of presence. Because I have been dressed by the hands of my Father. Let this readiness be my offering, not flashy or loud, but steady and real. Let my dressed heart say to the world, I may not know what is ahead, but I know who goes with me. And let that truth shape everything: the way I listen, the way I love, the way I lead, the way I wait. Let this armor not make me hard, but make me holy. Let it make me strong in spirit and tender in heart. Let it make me ready not just to face challenges, but to carry peace, to bring light, to speak hope. I step into this day now, not as someone scrambling for worth, but as someone who has already received it. Not as someone trying to prove anything, but as someone who has been chosen to carry something. Your presence, your truth, your spirit, and that changes how I walk, how I speak, how I see. Let this armor remind me all day long that I am yours. Let it become second skin, a sacred covering, a daily reminder that I am not walking out into the unknown. I am walking forward, fully dressed in destiny. Lord, as I move forward clothed in your armor, I realize how crucial it is to carry not only your truth and peace, but also a resilient spirit that does not falter when the road gets long. Because even when I am dressed for the day, there are still hills ahead, valleys I must pass through, and moments where my strength may feel like it is giving out. So now I ask not just for protection, but for perseverance, for energy that comes from a place deeper than motivation, for endurance that is born not of striving, but of resting in you. The battles I face are not always loud. Sometimes they are quiet, invisible to others, yet heavy in my soul. It is in these places where I need you most, not just as my defender, but as my sustainer. I need your hand to steady me when weariness seeps into my bones, when doubt whispers in the silence, when my faith begins to feel like a flickering flame. Strengthen me in those unseen moments. Father, build in me a quiet resolve that is not shaken by what I see, but grounded in what you have spoken. You know the path ahead of me. You see what is around the next corner, and you know the burdens that will attempt to weigh me down before I even take the next step. That is why I come to you now, not to ask for the path to be easier, but to ask that I be made stronger. Not that the obstacles be removed, but that I would walk through them with unwavering trust, holding tightly to the assurance that you are with me in every step I take. God, help me embrace the process. I know growth does not always come with comfort. Breakthrough rarely arrives without some form of breaking. Teach me to value the waiting seasons, the quiet stretches of the road that feel endless. Help me not to rush through them, but to lean into them, to let them shape me instead of frustrate me. Let me find you not just at the mountaintop, but in the middle of the climb. Remind me that you are not just the God of beginnings and endings, you are the God of the in-between, the God who walks beside me when the scenery does not change and the prayers have not been answered yet. The God who speaks softly while I trudge through uncertainty. Help me to recognize that your presence is not always loud and obvious. Sometimes it is in the stillness, in the breath I take when I almost gave up. Sometimes it is in the strength to keep going even when I do not feel brave. Let my heart not grow bitter when the journey feels longer than expected. Let it grow deeper. Let it grow more tender. Let it learn to beat in rhythm with yours. Show me how to keep joy alive when the days are repetitive. How to remain faithful when the fruit has not yet appeared. How to choose gratitude even when my surroundings tempt me toward grumbling. Lord, I do not want to walk through this day merely surviving. I want to move through it as someone who is sustained by grace, by truth, by a hope that is not dependent on my circumstances. Let me live out of the overflow of what you have poured into me. Let my resilience not come from trying harder, but from surrendering deeper, from trusting that you are both the source and the strength. Teach me how to pause and receive from you before I pour out to others, how to recognize when I am running on empty, and how to return to the well that never runs dry, how to draw daily from the living water you offer me, not just in crisis, but in the ordinary hours. Let me never become too busy or distracted to come sit at your feet, to drink deeply from your presence and be renewed. Father, I know you have designed me for more than burnout, more than surviving one day at a time in exhaustion. You have called me into a life marked by rest, even in movement, peace, even in pressure, joy, even in the tension. So today I ask for the strength to live like that, not just to endure, but to embody resilience that is holy and healthy. Resilience that reflects you. Help me to carry my assignments without being crushed by them, to hold responsibilities with open hands, to lead from humility, to serve from love, to show up to each moment, not out of performance, but from a place of knowing I am already seen, already approved, already held. Let my strength today be marked not by the absence of weakness, but by the presence of your Spirit within me. Let it be the kind of strength that can kneel and pray, that can stay silent when provoked, that can forgive before an apology comes, that can choose gentleness over retaliation. Let it be the kind of strength that notices people, listens closely, and does not rush past the sacredness of each interaction. Remind me that strength is not in how much I can carry alone, but in how quickly I return to you when I feel burdened. Let my first response not be stress, but surrender. Let my instinct be to turn toward you, not away, to rest instead of run, to trust instead of overthink. God, infuse my spirit with courage for what lies ahead today. I may not know all the conversations I will have, the surprises that will greet me, or the challenges that will demand more than I expected, but I do know that you go before me. I know that I walk into this day not empty-handed, but equipped. I know that I do not face the weight of this day alone, because you carry it with me. Give me eyes to see the strength you have already placed within me. Remind me of the endurance I have built through past battles, the growth that came from old wounds, the wisdom that has been forged in fire. Let me walk with the memory of your past faithfulness, fueling my present perseverance. Let me meet today not as a victim of my circumstances, but as a victor through Christ who strengthens me. And if there are moments when I forget, when I falter, when I feel like I am back at the beginning again, remind me that I do not have to start over. I just have to return. Return to your presence. Return to your peace. Return to the steady place of knowing I am never walking alone. Even in weariness, I am not abandoned. Even when I stumble, you are there, lifting, guiding, breathing strength into these tired bones once more. Lord, as I continue this journey with you, I realize that strength alone is not enough for the path ahead. I need wisdom that does not come from intellect or past experiences alone, but from a heart aligned with yours. So I pause here to ask you, in the quiet of this morning, to fill me with divine discernment. Let every step I take today be guided not by impulse or fear, but by the still, steady voice of your Spirit leading me in peace. As I reflect on the moments when I have wandered, I see now that most missteps were not caused by lack of ability, but by lack of clarity. In rushing, I lost sight of your whispers. In relying on my own understanding, I stepped into places you never asked me to go. Father, today I ask that you recenter my vision. Help me see not just what is before me, but what you are doing behind the scenes. Give me a heart that notices the quiet cues of your guidance, a soul tuned to the subtle nudge of your wisdom. Help me not to confuse noise for direction. So much around me demands attention: voices, screens, agendas, expectations, and it is easy to mistake urgency for truth. But you speak in peace. You guide not with panic, with purpose. Let me be one who waits to hear before I move, one who seeks your perspective before reacting, one who does not lean on what seems logical, but on what is holy. God, let your word be the lamp to my feet and the light to my path, not only in the grand decisions, but in the minute ones, the words I choose to speak, the way I handle conflict, the attitude I carry into my work, the tone of my conversations, the posture of my heart in traffic, at the store, at home. Let wisdom invade every ordinary corner of my day, so that nothing is lived apart from your presence. Grant me the wisdom to know when to be still and when to move, when to speak and when to listen, when to hold on and when to release. Some decisions today may not come with obvious answers. Let me not be afraid of silence while waiting on clarity. Let me learn the holy patience of trusting that if the way is not open yet, you are still preparing it. Let me trust that sometimes no is a gift, delay is mercy, and redirection is protection. Remind me that true wisdom does not always align with the world's applause. Sometimes, your guidance will lead me against the current, against popular opinion, even against my own desires. Let me have the courage to follow you anyway. Let me choose the narrow road, not because it is easier, but because it is yours. Give me a mind that is not swayed by what seems successful, but a spirit that longs to be obedient more than impressive. Father, protect me from the arrogance of thinking I know enough on my own, even in the areas where I feel most confident. Remind me to invite you in. Remind me that your wisdom surpasses my experience. That one moment of your insight can change the course of an entire day. Let me be a person who consults you before moving forward, who checks in with heaven before signing off with the world. Make my life a vessel of wisdom, not just for me, but for those around me. Let my words be seasoned with grace. Let my advice point others not to my opinion, but to your truth. Let the way I live inspire thoughtful reflection, deeper faith, and intentional choices in those I encounter. Help me model what it looks like to follow a God who sees further, knows better, and leads perfectly. And when I am presented with options that seem equally good, remind me that the best path is the one where your presence is most clearly sensed. Teach me to trace peace like a compass needle, to listen for the settling of my spirit as evidence of your approval. Let me be brave enough to walk away from things that shine, but are not anointed. Let me pursue not what glitters, but what grows fruit. Lord, give me the humility to seek counsel when I need it. You often speak through people, through mentors, through friends, through unexpected conversations. Help me not to walk alone in pride, but to open my heart to the collective wisdom you have placed around me. And even then, let me bring every word I hear back to you, testing it in prayer, weighing it against your word, aligning it with your heart. If I must make decisions that affect others, let me be gentle, just, and aware of their weight. Let me never act in haste where kindness is needed. Let me not confuse control with leadership, or dominance with influence. Give me wisdom that leads from love. Help me value people over productivity, character over achievement, truth over convenience. When I do not know what to do, let me find rest in the fact that you do. Let me breathe deeply and trust that you are not rushed, not unsure, not absent. You are always present, always speaking, always guiding. Let that truth anchor my wandering thoughts, settle my anxious questions, and bring stillness to every frantic attempt to figure things out on my own. Father, let me not be paralyzed by the fear of choosing wrong. Help me understand that your grace covers even my uncertainty, that even if I take a step and it was not perfect, you can still redeem it. You can still redirect. You can still bring beauty from hesitation. You are not limited by my errors, so let me move with holy boldness, not because I trust myself, but because I trust you. I ask that you help me carry this wisdom, not just in morning stillness, but in midday chaos, in nighttime reflections, in hurried moments when I must choose quickly, in long seasons where the answer takes time. Let it live in me, breathe through me, settle around me like a quiet shield. Let it remind me that wherever I walk with you, not just ahead of me, but within me. And when I do make a mistake, as I will, let it not bring shame but humility. Let it teach me, not define me. Let it draw me closer, not push me away. Let every wrong turn become a testimony of how you lead, even through confusion. Let every lesson become a stone in the path you are building beneath my feet. So I go into this day not merely asking to be right, but asking to be wise, not for the sake of ego, but for the sake of honoring you, for the sake of walking through my hours with a mind that reflects heaven's thinking and a heart that seeks heaven's ways, for the sake of living a life that says, even in my questions, I trust the one who holds the answers. Lord, when the weight of life presses heavily on my chest, and the path ahead grows dim with uncertainty, I still turn to you. Because in the stillness of each morning, when silence covers my surroundings like a gentle mist, I remember that you are near. And it is not my clarity that saves me, it is yours. It is not my foresight that secures my steps, it is the foundation you have laid beneath my trembling feet. And even when my confidence fails, your faithfulness endures, unshaken and unwavering, calling me back to trust once more. You see beyond what I can perceive, while I fix my eyes on what is missing. You are shaping what is becoming. In the unseen places, you are working miracles I have not yet discerned. While I pray for breakthroughs in visible form, you are nurturing breakthroughs within me, changing my heart, strengthening my spirit, refining my faith. And for that hidden work, Lord, I offer gratitude I can barely express. Because even when I do not see the answer, I begin to recognize your presence in the delay. Even when the wait feels endless, I begin to find purpose in the pause. Let me not grow bitter in the waiting, Lord. Let me not harden under the weight of unanswered questions. Instead, soften me, make my soul fertile ground for patience to take root. Let the winds of hardship shape my trust rather than scatter it. Let trials not destroy my hope, but deepen it like a river carving through stone. I do not want to just endure the waiting, I want to be transformed by it. I want to learn to lean into you more fully, not as a last resort, but as a daily habit. Let every breath I take this morning remind me that I am still here. Still breathing, still held by a grace that has never loosened its grip. You are the God who sees me in my smallness, not as insignificant, but as precious, not as forgotten, but as cradled in your design. You hold the tiny details of my life with the same care that you shaped the stars. You remember every tear I have cried in the dark, every silent prayer I whispered when no one else knew what was breaking me apart. And you never once turned away. Even when I doubted, even when I feared, even when I questioned everything, you stayed. You never left me to carry it alone. So this morning, I ask for nothing more than to stay near you, to walk in step with your heartbeat, to surrender my assumptions and receive instead your direction, to not chase the illusions of control, but to rest in the truth that your sovereignty is enough. Teach me how to listen. Really listen. Not just to my thoughts, but to your whisper underneath them. Help me distinguish your voice from the noise. Give me discernment that is not born of anxiety, but born of intimacy with you. Let my work today not just be busy, but meaningful. Let me not confuse motion with purpose. Let me not pursue productivity as my worth. Let me remember that I am loved before I do anything, before I succeed or fail, before I prove anything to anyone. Let me work not to earn, but to serve. Let me strive not for recognition, but for quiet obedience to the calling you have placed on my life. Let even the smallest task be an offering if it is done with faithfulness and humility. When weariness creeps in, remind me that rest is not weakness, that even you, Lord, rested. That stillness can be sacred, that quiet can be holy. Help me not to measure my value by how much I accomplish, but by how deeply I remain connected to you. Let joy return to the rhythm of my day, not because everything goes smoothly, but because you are with me, even when nothing does. Let laughter find its way back into my soul, not as an escape, but as an overflow of trust. Lord, when others cross my path today, let me see them through your eyes. Let me not be quick to judge or assume. Let me listen more than I speak. Let me ask how they are, not just as a courtesy, but with real intention. Let my presence be gentle and my words be kind. Let me become someone who makes room for others to feel safe, seen, and valued. Let me reflect your nature, not just in my beliefs, but in my behavior. And when I feel overwhelmed by all that is undone, all that remains uncertain, all that I cannot change, bring me back to this truth: you are not overwhelmed. You are never caught off guard. You are never late. You are never out of options. So I lay it down again. Everything that weighs on me, I place it in your hands, which are strong enough to carry what I cannot. I release it into your care, where nothing is wasted and nothing is beyond redemption. Let peace rule my thoughts, not fear. Let gratitude govern my outlook, not comparison. Let love be the root from which everything else in me grows. Let me not just survive today, but be fully present in it. Let me taste the sweetness of your presence in the ordinary. Let the sacred interrupt the routine. Let this be the day I do not rush past your beauty, because I am too busy trying to hold the pieces together on my own. You are the one who holds me together in every crack, every wound, every weakness. You shine through. So I will not pretend to be whole when I am broken. I will not hide my pain from you. I will bring it as an offering. I will allow my need to become the place where your mercy moves. And I will believe that even this moment, this quiet, trembling, unseen moment is holy because you are in it. God, in the quiet unfolding of this day, I sense your presence hovering gently over the hours ahead, as though you are already in the moments I have not yet lived, arranging grace like stepping stones for my weary feet. From where I stood in the last breath of reflection, you brought me here to another pause, another surrender, another whisper of trust that stretches from the shadows of my doubt into the warmth of your light. It is in this very space, Father, where I once again offer the weight of my thoughts to the one who knows the burden of my heart before I can form it into words. You see the heaviness I sometimes carry in the silent places of my soul, the weight that does not show in my smile or stride. You are the one who understands the unnamed ache behind every hopeful "I am fine." You do not ask me to mask it. You invite me to lay it down. You gather every fragile fragment of my uncertainty, and you press your love into it until peace replaces the panic and calm replaces the chaos. You are my anchor when I feel like drifting, and my compass when I feel lost in the fog of my fears. Lord, I give you this day not as a perfect offering, but as a real one. It comes with my anxieties and hesitations, with my moments of scattered focus and fears of falling short. And still, you receive it not with disappointment, but with delight, because you are not a distant God measuring my worth, but a near and nurturing Father, walking with me in the dust and breath of my humanity. You hold the fullness of my weakness in your mercy, and you teach me that surrender is not failure, but freedom. So I ask you to walk with me through the unseen hours ahead. Let your spirit be the soft wind behind every choice I make, the stillness behind every word I speak. Guard my tongue when I am tempted to respond from irritation instead of compassion. Hold my hands back when they want to react from fear instead of faith. Let me notice people not through the lens of impatience, but through the eyes of kindness. Help me to slow down enough to listen to you, to others, to the whisper beneath the noise that calls me back to what matters most. God, let me not be too busy surviving that I forget to live deeply. Let me not be so consumed by tasks that I miss the treasures tucked into small moments. Let me hear the laughter of a child and be reminded of joy. Let me notice the softness of sunlight spilling across the floor and remember your beauty in the ordinary. Let me pause when I see someone burdened and allow my heart to stretch wide in compassion. For what good is a productive day if I fail to be present in it? You did not create me to merely function. You created me to feel, to notice, to reflect your love in real time. So let every act today become an echo of grace. Whether I am answering emails or holding someone's hand, whether I am navigating traffic or comforting a friend, let me do it all with the quiet strength of someone anchored in a deeper peace. And when frustration tries to rise, when pressure threatens my patience, draw me back not to my own willpower, but to your presence. It is not mine to force the outcome, but to follow your prompting with faith. Lord, give me the wisdom to know when to act and when to wait. Teach me the beauty of stillness, not as stagnation, but as sacred alignment. Let me not confuse activity with purpose, or noise with progress. Sometimes the most powerful thing I can do is to be still and know that you are God. In that stillness, you often do the deepest work, not through the thunder, but through the whisper. So let me not chase after miracles while missing the miracle of simply being held by you. God, shape my responses today. When criticism comes, let it not define me. When praise comes, let it not inflate me. Keep me grounded in the truth of who I am in you, beloved, chosen, carried, and commissioned. And when doubt creeps in, let me lean into your word like a lifeline. When fear whispers its familiar lies, let me remember the countless times you have already rescued me. My story is already saturated with your faithfulness. Let me not forget what you have done, just because I am waiting to see what you will do next. Even now, in this sacred quiet, you are sowing strength into the soil of my spirit. I may not feel brave, but you call me brave because you walk before me. I may not feel ready, but you have already equipped me. I may not know the outcome, but I know the one who holds it, and that is enough for me to breathe deeper, stand taller, and take the next step. Carry this heart of mine today, God, in your steady hands. Let your kindness be the rhythm of my interactions. Your truth be the filter through which I see, and your peace be the guard over my thoughts. Let me not lose sight of your goodness, not even for a moment, because when I remember who you are, I remember who I am. Father, as the morning sun gently bathes the earth in warmth and golden light, I sense you drawing near again, just as faithfully as every new dawn. My heart rests in that nearness, not because the weight of life has grown lighter, but because I no longer carry it alone. In the quiet flow of your presence, I feel every fiber of my being settle, every stormy thought grow still. And as I lean into this peace, I carry forward the trust birthed in yesterday's surrender, welcoming the grace that unfolds fresh today. The worries that threatened to overwhelm me have not disappeared, but in your light, they have lost their power to control me. I no longer feel compelled to solve everything before noon or outrun the unknown. Instead, I sit at your feet, and like Mary, I choose what cannot be taken away. I choose to listen for your whisper in the clamor. I choose to anchor myself in stillness rather than productivity. And I choose to remember that what matters most today is not how much I accomplish, but how deeply I walk with you through it all. Offer you my motives. Father, purify them. Strip away the selfish ambition that hides beneath noble intentions. Wash away the residue of comparison, jealousy, or striving. If I speak, let it be with gentleness. If I work, let it be with integrity. If I rest, let it be with full trust in your provision. Shape my inner world so that everything that flows outward reflects your heart. Let me not seek applause or approval from others, but rather seek to please you, the one who sees in secret and rewards in love. Let your wisdom fill my mind in place of anxiety. When I come to a fork in the road today, let me not default to fear or pride. Instead, teach me to ask not what is easiest, not what makes the most sense on paper, but what path brings you the most glory. In the smallest choices, the ordinary conversations, the quiet sacrifices, help me lean into your voice. Your will is not a distant puzzle, Lord. It is often found in the simple choice to love, to obey, to trust, to forgive. May I not miss it by chasing the spectacular when you are waiting in the still. And as I walk among others, help me see them not as distractions or obstacles, but as sacred encounters. Each person I meet carries a story you know fully, and a heart you long to heal. Let me be present, not rushed. Let me be compassionate, not judgmental. Let me see the worry behind the smile, the pain behind the anger, the longing behind the pride. Give me the courage to be kind, even when it is not returned. Give me the strength to be patient, even when I am tired. And give me the wisdom to speak hope into someone who has forgotten how to dream. You know the challenges waiting for me today. Father, the meetings, the tasks, the people, the temptations. You know the fragile places in me that still ache, the memories that still sting, the fears that still whisper when no one is looking. But you are not intimidated by any of it. You are my shepherd, and in your presence, no valley is too deep, no shadow too dark. Even if I feel overwhelmed, you remain steady. Even when I am weak, you are strong within me. Teach me to lean harder when I feel like hiding. Teach me to open my hands when I feel the urge to control. Teach me to lift my head even when my heart feels low. Father, teach me how to breathe slowly when life speeds up. Teach me how to smile again when cynicism creeps in. Teach me how to celebrate the small victories instead of waiting for the big ones. Teach me to notice the warmth of sunlight on my face, the sound of birdsong outside my window, the gift of clean water, and the simple beauty of being alive. Don't let me miss the sacredness of this ordinary day. Each moment is a canvas of your goodness. Each breath is a reminder that I am still here, and so are you. Draw me into a deeper awareness of your spirit's whispers. Help me discern the difference between my voice and yours, between anxiety and conviction, between shame and repentance. Guard my heart from false guilt and empty distractions. Let conviction lead me to freedom, not condemnation. Let humility grow in me not as weakness, but as strength surrendered. May I grow more like you, not louder, but gentler. Not prouder, but more grounded. Not busier, but more rooted in what truly matters. Lord, I surrender this day again, not as a casualty of chaos, but as a conscious offering. I give it back to you with open hands and open heart. Do in me whatever brings you joy. Plant in me the seeds of your peace, and water them with the quiet power of your presence. Let my life speak not only through what I say, but through how I live, love, wait, listen, and yield. Shape me moment by moment into someone who reflects the beauty of your grace, not perfectly, but honestly, humbly, and sincerely. And if at any point today I forget, if I get pulled into old habits, reactive patterns, or moments of weakness, draw me back quickly. Remind me that I can begin again as many times as it takes. With you, the day is never lost. Even in the 10th hour, mercy is still new. Even when I mess up, your arms remain open. Teach me to live not from a place of performance, but from a place of belovedness. Let my confidence not be in my consistency, but in your constancy. You are faithful even when I falter. You are near even when I drift. You are steady even when I am shaken. So I step into the rest of this morning, and whatever awaits with a quiet kind of courage, not because I have all the answers, but because I know the one who does. Not because I feel strong, but because I know where my strength comes from, and not because life is easy, but because you are good, always and without fail. Let that be the rhythm that carries me forward, the steady heartbeat of grace, the unfailing cadence of love that keeps time with every step I take. Father, as I continue walking through the unfolding moments of this morning, my soul leans even more intentionally into your nearness. The calm you have sown in my heart has begun to grow roots, stretching into the deeper places that were once brittle with fear. And now, as I rise to face what lies ahead, I do so not in haste, but in harmony with your steady voice. You are not only in the sacred hush of early prayer, but in the very steps that follow, in the seconds that seem ordinary, in the tasks that often go unseen by the world. I carry this stillness with me, not as something to protect, but as something to let overflow. Lord, teach me how to move at the pace of grace today, not in frantic bursts of energy, not in desperate attempts to prove something, but in the quiet flow of surrender. Let my every motion be infused with your wisdom. Let my responses be soaked in patience. When others are impatient, let me not mirror them. When interruptions come, let me receive them not as nuisances, but as divine appointments. You have a way of showing up in the unexpected. Let me be present enough to recognize you when you do. I offer you my conversations before I speak a word. May my words carry healing, not harm. Clarity, not confusion. Warmth, not coldness. Place a gentle filter over my tongue, and let what flows out reflect what you have poured in. Let me listen more than I speak, and understand more than I assume. Keep me from reacting out of insecurity or pride. Let me not be quick to defend myself or slow to apologize. Where reconciliation is needed, let me not resist. Where bridges can be rebuilt, let me be the first to lay a plank. Let my relationships today be places where your grace breathes and your light breaks in. God, you see the details I do not. You know the conversations that await, the choices I will need to make, the burdens others are carrying that I might never see. Make me sensitive to your nudges. If someone needs encouragement, let me not hesitate. If someone needs truth, help me speak it with love. If someone needs silence, help me offer it without awkwardness. Remind me that ministry is not limited to pulpits or stages. Every hallway, every phone call, every meeting, every pause is an altar where love can be offered and lives can be touched. And Father, in moments when discouragement begins to creep in, when progress feels slow, when efforts seem unnoticed, when prayers feel unanswered, anchor me again in truth. You are not measuring me by results or speed. You are watching over the state of my heart. Let me not equate impact with visibility. Remind me that seeds take time to grow. And some of the most meaningful things I do today might never be seen by another soul, but you see. And that is enough. Give me strength not just for what is hard, but for what is holy. Strength to keep choosing joy when sorrow tempts me. Strength to keep serving when no one applauds. Strength to wake up again tomorrow and choose love, even if today ends with weariness. Your spirit within me is not temporary. It is not seasonal. It is constant, flowing like a river that never runs dry. So when I feel empty, draw me to the well again. When I am dry, rain on me. When I am weary, hold me steady in your arms until I can walk again. Let my thoughts today be filtered through the lens of grace. When I begin to overthink, help me pause. When worry gains momentum, help me breathe. When self-doubt whispers, let your truth shout louder. I am yours, not because of what I have done, but because of who you are. Not because I have earned it, but because you have chosen me. Let me live like one who is chosen, confident not in self, but in your unwavering hand upon my life. Let this identity shape every interaction, every decision, every dream. Father, protect my mind from the noise that seeks to distract me from the simplicity of your love. The world is loud, and not every voice deserves a response. Teach me the discipline of tuning out chaos so I can tune into your peace. I do not want to be driven by urgency, but drawn by presence. I do not want to be consumed by tasks, but centered in purpose. And when I lose that center, draw me back quickly, not with shame, but with kindness. You are the shepherd who never loses sight of even one wandering sheep. You do not scold me when I drift. You just reach for me again and again. Let me rest in that truth. Let it soften the hard edges I sometimes carry. Let it silence the lies that still try to define me. I am not my past. I am not my performance. I am not my pain. I am a vessel of your spirit, held by mercy, guided by grace, and formed daily in the image of love. As I step into new spaces today, give me discernment. Not everything that glitters is gold. Not every open door is from you. Give me wisdom to recognize what aligns with your heart. Let me not be seduced by shortcuts or pressured by expectations. Let me walk in integrity even when it costs me. Let my yes be honest and my no be clear. Give me the courage to disappoint people when obedience to you requires it. Let me live not for applause, but for alignment with your purpose. And God, thank you again for the gift of breath, for the ability to walk, to think, to speak, to try again. Let me not take these miracles for granted. Let me not waste today waiting for perfect conditions or a future breakthrough. Let me live this very moment with intentionality and reverence. There is purpose in this hour. There is beauty even in the brokenness. There is light even when clouds remain. Let me be a witness to all of it, not as a passive observer, but as one who actively carries your hope. So now, with quiet determination and a spirit grounded in your promises, I move forward into this day not because I know what it holds, but because I know who holds me. I will not be shaken by what changes, because you remain unchanged. I will not be defeated by what I can't control, because you are sovereign over all. I will not be discouraged by temporary setbacks, because your grace is never out of reach. Let this be my rhythm, my anchor, and my truth. Let this be the melody my heart hums as I go forward, your love in every step, your strength in every breath. Lord, as I continue forward through this sacred morning with you, I hold tightly to the quiet assurance that you are not just present in my prayers, but actively walking with me in every unfolding moment. The foundation you laid beneath my feet in the stillness now carries me into movement. The peace you breathed into my heart in the early hours has begun to steady my steps. I do not go into this day alone. I go wrapped in mercy, led by grace, upheld by hands that never grow weary. Father, sometimes it is not the storms that trouble me most, but the uncertainty between the calm and the crashing waves. The waiting rooms of life, the in-between places, the not-yets. That is where my trust is most tested, where the silence feels like distance and the absence of chained whispers lies to my weary heart. But you are not absent in the silence. You are not idle in the stillness. You are working deep beneath the surface, sowing seeds I cannot yet see, orchestrating moments I cannot yet understand. Teach me to trust you not just when the answers come, but when I feel like I am walking blindfolded through fog. God, thank you for teaching me that faith is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet decision to keep going when nothing around me changes. Sometimes it is the gentle whisper of hope when fear still knocks on the door. Sometimes it is breathing deeply and choosing not to give up. I do not need fireworks to prove that you are moving. I just need eyes to see the flickers of your presence in the ordinary. The sunrise that comes without fail, the breath in my lungs, the strength to rise, the whisper that says, I am still here. Let my heart lean into that whisper today, when I am tempted to chase signs and wonders. Remind me that the truest wonders often come in the form of small mercies. Help me to notice the way you show up in unexpected places, in the kindness of a stranger, in the laughter of a child, in the pause between my own breaths. Don't let me miss the miracles hidden in the mundane. Let gratitude be my posture, not just when prayers are answered, but even when they are still unfolding. Let thanksgiving become my instinct, not my afterthought. Lord, when I step into responsibilities today, let me carry them with intention, not with burdened striving. Help me to do my work with diligence and purpose, but not as a means to prove my worth. My identity is not built on my productivity. It is built on your love. Whether I am cleaning, planning, teaching, building, leading, or simply listening, let me do it as unto you. Let my hands move with care, my mind remain clear, and my heart stay anchored in truth. When challenges arise, do not let frustration steal my joy or anxiety steal my clarity. Help me take one moment at a time, knowing that you are already in the next. And Lord, give me discernment to recognize the difference between what is mine to carry and what I must lay down. Not every weight is meant for my shoulders. Some things you never asked me to hold. When I find myself consumed with worry over things beyond my reach, teach me how to release them. When I grip control out of fear, gently open my hands. I want to be faithful, not frantic. I want to walk in obedience, not obsession. Show me how to live from a place of rest, even in the middle of responsibility. God, guard my inner world from the clutter of noise and the chaos of comparison. The world is always shouting, always demanding more. But you invite me into quietness and trust. Help me resist the pull to measure my day by metrics the world applauds. Let me instead measure it by moments of love, of honesty, of connection, of faithfulness. Let me not envy another's path or grieve what I was never called to do. Let me find joy in what you have entrusted to me. And if today feels small, remind me that nothing is truly small when it is done in love. Father, I ask for strength not only to face adversity, but to face prosperity with humility. Success can be as testing as suffering. When things go well, let me remain grounded. When I am praised, let me deflect the glory back to you. When doors open, let me walk through them with reverence, not pride. Keep me small in my own eyes, but secure in your heart. Let every gain deepen my gratitude. Let every favor increase my faithfulness. And if I am elevated, let it be so I can serve more, not so I can boast more. Help me to see people through your eyes today, not as interruptions or obstacles, but as sacred souls on a journey. Let me slow down enough to truly see them, not just their needs, but their worth. Let me speak with kindness that lingers, not flattery that fades. Let me be generous with encouragement and quick to forgive. When I am misunderstood, let me respond with grace. When I am hurt, let me not retaliate but release. You have forgiven me much. Let me forgive freely. Let nothing fester. Let nothing linger in bitterness. Let love be the final word. And Lord, in the quiet corners of my heart, where unspoken questions live, where old wounds remain tender, where dreams feel delayed, I invite you to dwell there too. Nothing is off limits to you. No thought too messy, no feeling too heavy. You meet me in my humanity without shame. You sit with me in my weakness without judgment. You love me as I am and call me into more. So even as I bring these hidden parts into the light, I trust that you will handle them with gentleness, that you will not rush me, but walk with me, one tender step at a time. So today, let my life be a living reflection of this quiet confidence. Let my actions echo the peace I have found in you. Let my presence carry the calm that only comes from knowing I am deeply loved. Let my eyes shine with hope, even if they still carry traces of tears. Let my heart stay soft, even if it has been bruised. Let my faith remain steady, even if the path winds and bends. I am yours, not for a moment, but forever. Not for a season, but for eternity. Let that truth shape every choice I make, every word I speak, every breath I take. Father, as I remain in this sacred flow of morning reflection with you, I feel the gentle unfolding of something deeper, a steady unveiling of your heart within mine. Everything that has been prayed, everything whispered through tears or spoken in strength, has not been lost to time or silence. It has risen like incense before you, and here I am again, still reaching, still longing, still surrendering, still believing. The journey does not grow old. Each step with you breathes something new, and so I walk on, not because I have arrived, but because you have never stopped walking with me. God, I realize now that intimacy with you is not always a dramatic crescendo, but more often a quiet companionship. It is the familiar nearness that does not demand to be felt in thunder, but is known in the stillness. It is the unspoken comfort that steadies me in the ordinary. Let me not despise this simplicity. Let me not overlook the sacredness of routine touched by your hand. The brushing of teeth with a heart of thanks, the folding of clothes in peace. The mundane turned holy simply because you are in it. Lord, draw my attention again to what matters most. So much around me clamors for urgency, for distraction, for noise, but I long to remain rooted in clarity. Let my soul not be stretched thin by the demands of performance or the pressures of perfection. Instead, anchor me in grace. Let me value progress over polish. Let me prioritize presence over pretense. And when I fall short, as I so often do, remind me that you measure not by outcome, but by openness. You see not just what I do, but who I am becoming. Thank you for being the one who never grows tired of reminding me who I am in you. When I forget my worth, you gently hold up the mirror of truth. When I doubt my calling, you whisper promises rooted in eternity. When I question my ability, you remind me that it was never about my strength in the first place. What freedom it is to be known so completely and still be loved so fully. Help me walk boldly in that freedom today. Let nothing enslave me again, not fear, not shame, not striving, not the weight of others' expectations. God, help me love people, the kind of love that does not keep score. Let me give freely, not because it will return to me, but because it first came from you. Teach me to listen more than I speak, to offer more than I expect, to bless even when it costs me. Let my words carry life, not opinion. Let my hands be open, not clenched. Let my eyes seek out the lonely, not just the likable. May I be a quiet answer to someone's unspoken prayer today, not by grand gesture, but by faithful presence. Lord, in the times when I feel unseen or forgotten, whisper again that you are the God who sees, that my prayers are not echoes lost in the wind, but treasures stored in heaven, that my faithfulness in small things matters in the unseen realm, that every act of obedience, no matter how quiet, ripples into eternity. Let me not crave recognition from people when I am already fully seen by you. Let me not grasp for validation when your delight in me is unwavering. And if I must be hidden for a season, let it be because you are cultivating something eternal. Father, give me vision to see beyond today, to live not only for what is urgent, but for what is lasting. Help me build with stones that will withstand time. Let my choices reflect values that one day crumble. Let me sow into relationships with patience, into my work with integrity, into my soul with care. Remind me that love outlasts success, that character outweighs applause, that faith is the truest currency of heaven. And let this shape how I spend this day, what I chase, what I pause for, what I release, and what I protect. God, even now, as the light grows stronger and the world stirs with motion, I want to carry stillness within me, not stillness as in doing nothing, but a soul-deep steadiness that does not sway with the winds of circumstance. Let that stillness come from trust, from rootedness, from remembering that you are enough. And when chaos brushes up against me, I want to panic, I will press in. I will retreat inward to that quiet place where you and I meet, where peace is not a concept, but a person. I will live from that space today, not just visit it. Let me be faithful in the quiet. Lord, the things no one sees but you. The prayer whispered on a commute, the forgiveness offered in silence, the battle fought within for peace, the surrender that no one applauds, the boundaries held with trembling hands, the persistence in doing good even when it feels thankless. Let me remember that you weigh what others overlook, that you celebrate the unseen offerings, that you smile over the invisible victories. And if no one else says well done, let me hear it in your heart. And when I grow weary of doing good, when the harvest feels distant and the soil beneath me hard. Remind me again of your timing. Help me not confuse delay with denial. You are never late, only deliberate. You are not just preparing the blessing, you are preparing me for the blessing. And in the waiting, you are not absent. You are working. You are shaping. You are drawing. So let me wait with hope, not frustration, with worship, not complaint, with expectation, not anxiety. Father, renew my hope like the morning dew. Let it be fresh, unmanufactured, rising quietly with the sun. Let me believe again, not because the odds have changed, but because I know who holds tomorrow. Let me walk forward, not because I have all the answers, but because I trust the one who does. Let joy rise today, not from perfection, but from presence. Let laughter bubble up, not from ease, but from assurance. Let contentment grow, not from having all I want, but from knowing I have all I need in you. Lord, as I remain in this quiet space, where only your presence breathes through every corner of my soul, I sense how near you truly are. The whisper of your love follows me from each thought, like a gentle thread tying together the prayers of my heart. All that has been spoken in these moments, every confession, every cry, every breath surrendered has been lifted into the realm where you dwell. And now, standing on the final steps of this sacred morning journey, I do not feel closure, but a deep opening, a widening of the spirit that says, you are not finished with me yet. You continue shaping me through these words. Father, through this steady rhythm of devotion, I have felt you in the silence, in the tremble of a memory surfacing, in the warmth behind my eyes as tears quietly told their truth. I have walked through valleys of doubt and risen with a stronger faith. I have placed before you the names of those I love and those I struggle to love, and in return, you have placed peace into my hands, even if my circumstances remain unchanged. You are the change within me, and that is enough. God, there are still unanswered questions. There are still roads ahead that seem wrapped in mist. But you have taught me that I do not walk alone, even if no one else sees me or understands the path I am on. You do. You see the slow progress, the tiny victories that often go unnoticed. You cheer for me when I choose kindness over anger, when I extend grace instead of judgment, when I pause to pray instead of rushing ahead. These unseen acts, these little seeds of obedience, they matter to you. And because they matter to you, they begin to matter more to me. I carry forward the prayers I have not yet seen fulfilled. I do not bury them in frustration, but water them with hope. You are the gardener of my soul, and you know how to bring life from even the driest ground. I trust you with the timing. I trust you with the outcomes. I trust you with the people I love who are wandering, with the dreams I have almost given up on, with the wounds that still ache in places no one can see. I trust you with me. Lord, as this prayer draws near its closing breath, I ask that you keep it alive in the hearts of all who have joined this journey. Let these words echo long after the sound fades. Let them linger like a melody that draws us back to you again and again. Let them stir a deeper hunger to meet with you each morning, not because of obligation, but because of longing, a longing to be held, to be known, to be filled again with your life-giving presence. May this space become a well we return to, a place where we are reminded that no matter what we face, we can face it with you. That prayer is not the end of our strength, but the beginning of it. That we are not weak because we need you, we are strong because we depend on you. That surrender is not defeat, but the pathway to peace. That every morning is a gift, not because everything is easy, but because your mercy is new and ready to meet us. Thank you, Father, for those who've prayed these words alongside me. I bless each one. I speak courage into weary hearts, restoration into broken places, laughter into joyless rooms, and faith into flickering lights. Let them feel seen. Let them feel carried. Let them know that their voice matters. Their prayer is heard, and their presence here was no accident. You led them to this moment for a reason. If they are lonely, comfort them. If they are afraid, shelter them. If they are waiting, strengthen them. If they are hurting, heal them. Let this not be the end of their seeking, but the spark that awakens deeper pursuit. Breathe new fire into their spirits. Ignite wonder where there has been fatigue, and lift their gaze to see what you are still doing. And now, as I take one last look from this place of communion, I see a horizon not of endings, but of invitation. The first light of morning stretches across the sky, soft and golden, touching the earth like a whisper. A gentle breeze moves through the trees, and I feel it against my skin like the breath of your promise. In this stillness, I know that you are near, that you are for me, and that this new day is filled with unseen mercy, waiting to unfold. Thank you for walking this entire prayer with me. If these words touched your spirit, I invite you to share your thoughts or personal prayers in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who needs hope, and come back every morning to let faith rise again in your heart. Keep believing, keep praying, and keep walking with God. Amen.